Ladies and gentlemen, let's go. We ain't got no time to waste. Let's go. You are now listening to Jason Anderson, and you are in the zone.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
So, with the 29th pick in the 2022 Fade the Noise NFL Mock Draft, James Anderson, the Kansas City Chiefs select who? James Anderson joining us right now on Sports Radio 810 in Kansas City. James, let's talk running backs.
Yeah, excellent stuff. James, we're up against it. We appreciate the time, my man. Fantastic insight and information. We're looking forward to talking to you down the road. Enjoy the draft.
Absolutely, man. You guys too, anytime.
All right, there he goes. James Anderson, host of the Zone Midday Sports Radio 810 in KC.
You're in the zone on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, a Wednesday edition of The Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Josh Brisco, Beards. We head up until 2 o'clock the next 4 hours. We've got you. A lot of stuff to get into today. Jam-packed show. Cynthia Frelund will be our guest at 11 o'clock. NFL Network analytics expert. We'll talk with her about the Chiefs moving forward. Looking back at the Bengals, what she sees from that matchup, why it's an issue. Is it random? Is it, we like to say small sample size sometimes in sports. Take a drink. Is it one of those small sample sizes that if the Chiefs play 3 more times against the Bengals, they'll be 3-3, and it'll be there will not be an advantage in aggregate scoring one way or another. They'll win the next 3 by a total of 9 points, and just plays that are made late in games that sometimes those last possession, last second games are 50-50, and the Chiefs are 0 for 3 against the Bengals, and it's got to even out. That's maybe what the math says, or is there something more to that? Certainly around here, close to the situation, it's more difficult to say that it's just going to even out. It'll be fine. Face them again, and you'll find a way to win that 3-point game. And, if this would have been different last year in the championship, if this would have been different last year in Cincinnati, if this would have been different a few days ago in Cincinnati, then they win the game. We can point to about 5 or 6 different plays total between the 3 games and go, wow, they're 3-0 if those things happen. But they didn't, and they're not. So is that a trend? Is it sort of noise and the Raiders being so good last year in close games, 1-score games, and this year being so bad until recently? Is it, just evening out? So we'll talk with her about that, some other things as well, not just specifically that, but the decision on 4th down and 7, what's the more advantageous play to go for it on 4th and 7 from the 37-yard line with 3:20 to go, down 3, kick the field goal, get a stop. What does she think about that? And then also, we've talked about Chris Jones a lot over the last few years, couple of summers ago when they were going through the contract negotiation with Chris Jones and the franchise tag and then signing him to the long-term deal and then the final year of his contract coming up. So we expect there to be something this summer, whether that is a renegotiation, an extension, a trade, whatever it might be. There's going to be some movement there. All right, it's going to be an action summer for the contract of Chris Jones. It's not going to stay the way that it is. So that is the expectation. But one of the things that I'm, just always curious about when we talk about building a roster front to back to front, either way can be advantageous depending on if you actually have good players or not. But what we saw against the Bengals and what we've seen a number of times this year is it's Chris Jones and everybody else. It's Chris Jones and, faceless foes in a Bond movie that just, oh, hey, yep, okay, here's you shot at me 4 times and you missed, and I, spun around and did a flip and a pirouette and shot you once, and boom, perfect shot. Ha ha, idiot. So Jones being James Bond in this, and the other 3 being faceless villains. So what's the better way of building a defensive line? Is it 1 elite player and 3 below average, or a couple below average, 1 average pass rusher, and that's your 4 across the front? Or is it better to have even just 4 average pass rushers, and you can coach to that or manipulate different things and how you do it? I'm always curious about that because I don't want to see what the Chiefs defense looks like without Chris Jones. because I can't imagine what it would look like, because they wouldn't be replacing Chris Jones and then putting 4, just average, maybe a little above average players across the board. No, they would have the same faceless villains. They would just exchange Bond for Mond or anything other than him. So we'll talk with Cynthia Frelund about that. Denver Broncos, is there concern with the Broncos this week for the Chiefs? Can a team, I do worry about the Bengals beating the Chiefs twice. I know it's the Broncos, but that 3-7 mark ain't or 3-9 mark, I should say. 3-7, 2 days ago, or 2 weeks ago, it was 3-7. 3-9 mark for the Broncos doesn't inspire a lot of fear for a team that's getting ready to play them and scoring 9 points against the Bengals and against the Ravens, and the Ravens not having Lamar Jackson and finally being able to score when they had to score and the Broncos couldn't get a stop. So you always worry about that. Don't let one game beat you twice. The Chiefs have already had there's one game, there's a couple games a year where it's like, how did they lose that one in the Andy Reid era? Oh, guess what? Welcome to the NFL. There's a game like that every single year with every single team. It's like, oh, how'd they lose that game? Well, because the NFL happens. That happened with the Colts. Are we 100% sure moving forward that that game has taken place and there isn't another one in the next 5 weeks? I don't know that. I don't think that's the case. I believe this team will be 5-0 the rest of the way. But I would be concerned this weekend and at Las Vegas in Week 18, although if that has meaning, I think they would win that game if that's for the number 1 seed.
There's a totally different game on here that scares me more than either of those two, maybe combined. I think the Broncos are done.
Texans.
And it's not the Texans.
Seattle.
It would be Seattle.
Really?
I just think there is some world that they put up 35 points and the Chiefs just turn the ball over a couple times.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve against an NFC team.
Looking at the schedule, what's the team that can score?
That's the only
Raiders
one on the rest of the way up.
Raiders can score.
That's true. That's true.
Because Devontae Adams and Derek Carr are really, hitting their stride right now. I mean, Derek Carr threw for 220 yards and 170 was to Devontae Adams. I mean, it's like, hey, he's only throwing there. Yeah, and you still can't guard him because he's Devontae Adams. So, and Josh Jacobs is having a career year in a contract year. So I think the Raiders can score and the Seahawks can score. So those would be the ones. The only reason I put Denver down there is because it's on the road and it's coming right off a loss against the Bengals where you're going, what in the hell? Why can't we beat that team? And if you're the Chiefs, do you wake up on Monday still pissed off? Do you wake up Tuesday still thinking about Sunday and not thinking about this Sunday?
Here's why I'm not worried about this game from the Chiefs' perspective. Because if they do go to Denver and they lose to this Denver Broncos team, they are going to come back with the glassiest eyes I can imagine you've ever seen, and they will meet a lot more glassy eyes in Kansas City.
Well, that wouldn't be from just being in Colorado. The glassy eyes wouldn't
no, it would be.
Are they coming back with glassy eyes anyway?
It would be more of a stunned silence,
I see.
less of a stoned silence. If they lose to the Bengals and follow it up with what would be, I just think, the most embarrassing loss of the NFL season with how the Broncos season has gone and who the Chiefs believe themselves and have often proven themselves to be, it would feel cataclysmic. That would be the end of the Chiefs' winning streak over the Broncos. That would be the unable to stop the bleeding game. And I'll tell you what, if you want to get meta with it, like you said, how you can't let one game beat you twice, if the Bengals want to just start claiming that they're 4-0 against the Chiefs now because they beat you so hard that you went and lost to Denver the next week, I could see this game being weird, but if the Chiefs lose, or even if it takes a last-second field goal, but certainly if they lose, it is going to feel like a snowball of knives and razor blades and weeping and gnashing of teeth. I do not think they will lose that game, but boy, if they do.
The nerves the rest of the way, the last 5 weeks of the season, watching the other games, needing help to be the 1 seed, it's going to be rough because it's going to be frustrating rooting against the Bills because they're a good team and they win a lot of games, and to hope that they end up being 13-4. Because I believe whoever is the 2 seed will face the Bengals in the second round. I think the Bengals are going to be the 3 seed. It's not going to be the Titans. The Bengals already have a 1-game lead on the Titans, and they won head-to-head. And without Lamar Jackson, I don't think it's going to be the Ravens, and the Bengals play the Ravens at home in Week 18, Game 17. If that's for the division and a home game as opposed to being a wild card team, I'll take the Bengals in that matchup at home. I think Cincinnati finishes as the number 3 seed. So that means if you're the number 2 seed, you would be looking at whoever in the first round, pick your team, and then Cincy at home at Buffalo. Or if you're Buffalo, it's Cincy at home at Kansas City. And then you're probably playing Tennessee if you're the 1 seed. Tennessee at home versus Cincy at home. And then going to Buffalo versus playing Buffalo at home, or playing Cincinnati at home, because if Cincinnati can certainly go to Buffalo and win, or Cincinnati going to Buffalo because, Cincinnati can certainly come into Kansas City in the divisional round and win. So I believe the Bengals end up with a 3 seed. That's why the next 5 weeks are so crucial, because if you want to go through the playoffs and say you don't have to face those 2 teams in back-to-back weeks, the 1 seed to me is the only way you do that, unless there's a massive upset in the first round.
And I think right now the one thing you can say pretty confidently, if you're going to find something about the Chiefs that you would not want to believe in, or a negative thing to believe, I think you would say, I'm not sure I see that team beating the Bills and Bengals in back-to-back weeks. And that's probably true for any one of those teams who does have to play both of those teams back-to-back, which is why we've gotten into the habit of this around here, so it's not weird anymore. But the night the schedule was released, the entire conversation, for me at least, was, what does the 1 seed look like? Which obviously I can't remember when exactly the schedule came out. The Chiefs roster is very different from where it has been the previous times they've hosted the AFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. But that first round bye, the only one of them, again, when they expanded the playoffs, that 2 seed lost its usual bye. The one bye week means you just get to fully opt out of a game. You can fully get healthy that week. You can begin preparing for your next opponents. But it also might be the way you avoid. We can even lump the Titans in on this. I don't think that the Titans are the football team that the Bills or the Bengals or, frankly, the Dolphins are. But I don't want the Chiefs to play the Titans in January, man. I've seen it enough. I'm good. That team gives me anxiety.
Well, I mean, there's also a world in which if you're the 2 seed, you would play Dolphins, Bengals, Bills.
Yeah.
In 3 games.
And you probably wouldn't, because you probably don't stay alive through that stretch. Someone has to.
Somebody has to, right. I mean, the Bengals had to go to Tennessee. They won the division, right? So they beat the Raiders at home. So Raiders at home, at Tennessee, and then at Kansas City. They didn't have to face Buffalo. Buffalo was going to have to go through Kansas City and then face the Bengals at home, when most people thought it was going to be going to Tennessee because the Bengals winning, and it's just a matter of, okay, it's been a nice story for Cincinnati, and they're probably a year ahead of schedule getting to the divisional round. Maybe it's a little bit like Cleveland, in the 2020 playoffs, that, hey, it's a nice story so far, and we'll see what happens moving forward with this team. But Ryan Tannehill was Ryan Tannehill in that game. And, there was a massive, massive play by Mike Hilton. I think it was Hilton, who ran down, might have been Derrick Henry, inside the 10-yard line, which then 2 plays later was the Ryan Tannehill interception when he threw it down the line of scrimmage. The player that made the tackle, I believe, was the same player that intercepted Ryan Tannehill, and the player that made the tackle wasn't even in the screen when Derrick Henry broke free. He worked all the way across the field to be the guy, because when Derrick Henry then had to cut back, he was there to make the tackle. If he dogs it, Henry scores, and we're probably talking about the Chiefs and Bengals in the AFC champion, or Chiefs and Titans in the AFC championship game. And if the Titans have the Chiefs number, and why can't they beat them in the AFC championship game 2 years before? Why didn't they? Or we're talking about, the Chiefs lost to the Bengals. It sucks, but we'll see them in the playoffs, and that's fine. Chiefs have been to 3 straight Super Bowls. They've won 2 of 3. They'll be fine. I mean, just a play here or there makes such a massive, massive difference, because I could have said, well, if the Bengals beat the Titans, they were going to get blown out by the Chiefs anyway. So, I mean, Bengals, Titans didn't matter. Either one of them was packing up from Tennessee to head to Kansas City and lose. But we know what happened. And that's the beauty and the fear and the anxiety of the NFL, is that a play here or there. Kelsey doesn't fumble. I think the Chiefs win. But he did. And it happens.
We may have all gotten the AFC West prediction business wrong this offseason because Russell Wilson's been a disaster. The Raiders, as we've already mentioned, you're right. They've started to kind of pull it together a little bit, at least offensively. You see what they could be. But the AFC, I think we still may have somehow undersold because we agree on this. Bills, Bengals, Titans, Chiefs, your division winners, which means that your 3 wild card teams are the one that has Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle catching passes from Tua Tagovailoa. Whoop, I did it that time. Tua Tagovailoa playing pretty well. Last week notwithstanding. And then Lamar Jackson's team and Justin Herbert's team. You've got 4 division winners and 3 wildcard teams with electric, at least, elements on offense. And really excellent, at least a couple of playmakers on the defensive side. This conference is crazy. So whoever is representing the AFC side on the Super Bowl is going to need to get a little lucky, going to need some super clutch plays from whoever their quarterback is, going to need a defense to stand up and make a stop a couple of times, just simply by the law of the opponents we know they'll be playing. Total murderer's row in the AFC, and with the bad taste of the Bengals game still in your mouth, I don't know how you could have some sort of confidence that the Chiefs are an overwhelming favorite. Frankly, whoever has the 1 seed and gets to skip that first week of the games, they are the overwhelming favorite.
You get to skip the first week of the games, and I believe you'll skip the 2 and the 3, which is either the Chiefs and the Bengals or the Bills or the Bengals, whatever it might be. You're skipping one of those teams. You get a bye, and you don't have to play both of those teams more than likely. And there is a scenario in which the Dolphins are the 7 seed. So if you're the 2, now you are playing the Dolphins, Bengals, Chiefs/Bills. That's not a fun stretch to go through because right now the Dolphins are the 6th seed. They're 1 game ahead of the Jets. Are the Dolphins going to win out? Probably not. Patriots are a couple games back. Chargers are a couple games back. A lot of football left to be played, a lot of jockeying for position. But one thing I feel very confident about is that the top 3 in the AFC is going to be Bills/Chiefs. The other team 2, Bengals 3, Titans 4. Fill in the other 3 spots with a lot of football to be played these last 5 weeks. 913-912-4810 is the text line, 913-912-4810. The text line, we'll hear from the Chiefs, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes today, and whoever else is at the podium. I want to take a timeout. We'll come back, and I want to talk some baseball. I want to talk some Royals.
Are we allowed to do that?
It's a shocking turn of events, and I know this is just stunning, I tell you, that the first lottery, Royals already taking it squarely between the legs. Kick right between the legs.
It's like JJ Piccolo's not even trying. Psh.
Man, I mean, tank harder next time. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. We'll talk with Cynthia Frelund at 11 o'clock. We'll hear from the Chiefs. Mick Shaffer will hang out with him. Sad fans. Chiefs edition, which makes it even more sad, comes up today as well. More Zone rolling along next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
So I looked.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we'll continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson, Josh Brisco, Beards. We'll talk with Cynthia Frelund at 11 o'clock. Chiefs today, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, TBD. Mick Shaffer, KSHB 41 Sports Director. Sad fans on Reddit. Shot clock reviews, all that still to come. This text says, Chiefs should maybe not circle any games on their schedule next year. They said the Bills, Titans, and Bengals. They went 1-2 with a miracle win against the Titans against a backup QB when the Chiefs had extra motivation from Simmons. That's right.
It's a really good take.
Yep.
Really good take.
Yep. And another text says, this weekend would also end Patrick Mahomes' division road game win streak of starting his career 13-0 in division road games. That would do that as well. It would suck if that were to happen. I worry because of the hangover and the one game beat you twice. This was the third of the 3 games. They lost the 1 seed, and they lost to the Bengals. And maybe they're for the first time looking up and going, maybe we aren't better than the Bengals. Maybe we aren't as good as we thought. And I kind of hope that's the case. I hope they're sitting there going, maybe we aren't as good as we thought. Maybe we need to go and do whatever it takes to get back to being as good as we thought. Because the Bills beat you and the Bengals beat you. and you damn near lost to the Titans. So you still look at yourself as the class of the AFC because you've lost 2 of 3 to the Bills. You've lost 3 of 3 to the Bengals. You've lost 2 of 3 to the Titans. And you aren't the reigning AFC champions. So that pedestal, you've been knocked down a couple of notches, if not just completely knocked off, and everybody's scratching and clawing in the king of the mountain trying to get up there and land on the Iron Throne right now. Like, there's nobody sitting there right now, where the Chiefs were sitting there kicking other teams as they were trying to get to the feet. Not happening anymore. 913-912-4810. 913-912-4810. Text says, I think way too much emphasis put on Kelsey's fumble. It was huge, but it happened once. More emphasis, in my opinion, is another missed field goal that would be having a probable tie score. Yeah, they're up 4 in driving if Kelsey doesn't fumble. Butker makes the field goal, they lose 30-27. I mean, it ties the game. I just don't see that as being as big of a play. The play is maybe if he's saying going for the field goal as opposed to going for it on 4th down. Yeah, I'll buy that. I'll play that game all day.
I also don't feel like we've overemphasized the Kelsey fumble because, frankly, I just don't think there's much to talk about. The defense made a good play. I mean, a great play. Mm-hmm. And like you said, I think we're on the same page on Kelsey was fighting for yards for a little bit and then trying to get down. Mm-hmm. And then because he knows when a defender's there trying to yank the football out. He didn't get surprised by that. They just got it. Like,
yep, it happens.
Okay, great. We've got now an example of Travis Kelce having less grip strength than one other human being on the planet. There's probably a couple more, but not a long list.
It's being of two minds that both can be true. It happens, but it shouldn't.
Yep.
Both of those things can be true, and I think both of those things are true, and I think Travis Kelce would be the first one to tell you, yeah, those things happen in the NFL, but it can't happen. In that situation, happens in the first quarter, you can overcome it. You can do some things to get back in the game. Happens there in the fourth quarter, and then a touchdown happens, and now instead of up 4, maybe up 7 with a field goal or up 11 with a touchdown, you're now trailing? Yeah, can't happen there. 913-912-4810. So this text comes in. This is a tweet from Patrick Brennan. The draft lottery was last night in Major League Baseball. The Pirates finally won something. They won Dylan Cruz from LSU. So, Dylan, get ready to be a Pirate. You should probably look for real estate in Pittsburgh right now because it was the lottery to get, one of the best college prospects we've seen in a long, long time. And all last year we were talking about and we were noting when the Royals had the worst record. And it's like you just got to have top 3, one of the top 3 worst records, and you've got the best chance because the worst 3 records have the same exact percentage chance of winning the lottery, and you're in there, and 1 in 3 chance essentially to get Dylan Cruz. That didn't happen. And they didn't even get the spot that they would have been picking if there was no lottery. They slide 3 spots back. They had the 5th worst record. So last year and every other year, they would be picking 5th. Instead, they are picking 8th. The annoying part, and this is the tweet from Patrick Brennan, says teams that lost the most expected WAR via draft position tonight. Number 1, Kansas City. Number 2, Cincinnati. Number 3, Oakland. Biggest risers. Number 1, Pittsburgh. Number 2, Minnesota. Number 3, Detroit. 2 of the 3 in your division. 2 of the 3 that finished ahead of you since you finished last. The Twins were 13 games better in the division than the Royals were. Royals finished 13 games behind the Twins, and they're 3 spots behind them in the lottery. We talked about it at the time when it came out. I felt like it was an overreaction. And it's not sour grapes now that the Chiefs or the Royals have fallen back 3 spots and the Twins have leapt them. Instead of the Twins moving up 5 spots instead of 13, they're, picking 5th. This is where the Royals should be picking. So, yeah, it's annoying. It's not sour grapes, but I think it was an overreaction. And I think there's a difference in tanking in the NBA and the NFL than in Major League Baseball. In the NBA, if you tank, you might get LeBron. In the NFL, if you tank, get Joe Burrow, number 1 pick. Major League Baseball, if you tank, you might get a stud that you find out if he is one in 3 or 4 years, as long as his development happens and health happens and he's good enough to make it through the minor leagues and then get to the big leagues and then face big league pitching and then actually prove that he's that good. That may happen if you tank. Also, he's one of 9 in the lineup and not the quarterback that's the most important position, or 1 out of 5 on the floor that can make a massive difference, or even if he's a stud Cy Young winning pitcher, he's 1 out of every 5 days that he goes to the mound and can't do anything in the 4 other games until he's back there on the mound tanking. And this lottery was an overreaction to tanking. And, it's here to stay. But I didn't like it when it happened. I thought, they were the owners were essentially saying to the players, "Oh, okay, yeah. No, we're not spending as much money anymore because we are tanking. We are all these teams are trying to just lose games and not spend money. That's why payroll is not going up. Yeah, that's what it is. We'll give you the lottery. So then we don't have to acknowledge that revenue continues to stream in and the payrolls go down." And the overall money spent on players continues to go down, and the middle class is less and less existent, and it's the $360 million for Aaron Judge and the 3 years, $3 million for somebody else. And it's having Aaron Judge is awesome, but just Aaron Judge isn't going to do it because Mike Trout hasn't won a playoff game yet, and he's the best player in baseball. So it takes more than that. I thought it was an overreaction, and last night watching it and seeing the Royals name coming up, thanks a lot, Raul Ibanez. Seeing the Royals name pop up at pick number 8 was really, really annoying. And, I don't think there should be a system to where if you have the worst record in the game, that you could then pick 7th. Because if you don't win, the lottery is only the first, in case people don't know, lottery is only the first 6 picks. They do the lottery, everybody that doesn't make the playoffs has a percentage chance of winning the lottery. They draw the first 6 picks. After that, everything else goes towards record. So if you have the worst record in baseball and you don't get one of the first 6 picks, the worst you can do is pick 7th. There shouldn't be anything that exists to where if you have the worst record in your sport, you could possibly pick 7th if you're just unlucky.
I think the best comparison for this is obviously the NBA because they have the one that exists. The NBA is for the top 14, the ones that don't make the playoffs. It's different for basketball than it is baseball because kind of like you mentioned how in basketball you get name that's out there this year, 7'5" French kid from France, Victor Wembanyama.
Yep.
There are 5 guys on the court.
Tagovailoa.
Sure. There are 5 guys on the court at all time. One guy has a major impact.
Yeah.
You do that because you don't want a team to go 9-73 and then be like, we were trying, guys, we swear.
Right.
And then so that happens. Baseball is harder like that because, like you said, Mike Trout hasn't made the playoffs yet. He's one exceptional guy.
Yeah.
I don't know how it works I don't think it'll work that great for baseball. I don't think football should do it, but I think it works for the NBA. But that's the rare exception.
What are the rules in place? And I mean, you study the NBA, and I, being a talk radio host, probably should know those things. But the rules in the NBA for if you've got the number 1 pick, how far down can you be? 14th? Is it top 3 protected? Is it top 5?
I think it's like everybody's got. I think it's like the top 4 teams have a 1 in 4 chance.
Here, I have number 1.
I think you can
percentages.
If you like, here, Josh.
So the top 3 teams have a 14% chance of the number
NBA
1
or
pick.
Major League
NBA.
See, I'm just wondering if there's a protection to where if you're number, the worst record, because in baseball, if you're the worst record, you could pick 7th. That's the worst you could pick.
Orlando so the 3 teams with the best odds, the top 3 teams all have the exact same odds.
Probably huge NBA fans that are listening right now that are just pulling their hair out.
Yes, probably.
It's 14% chance for the number 1 pick for each of those 3 teams, and a 52.1% chance for a top 4 pick for those 3 teams. And then the top 4 odds are the only ones that I have on me here.
Okay.
So I do think there is a floor to it.
If I remember correctly, you can get jumped, but you can't get swapped with somebody.
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know if there was a rules in place like that are some protection to where
5th pick.
If you're the worst you can pick is 5th.
Under the revamped format, which began in the 2019 draft, the NBA draft lottery will ensure that the team with the worst record will receive no worse than the 5th pick. Under the pre-2019 system, the team with the worst record would pick no lower than 4th.
Oh, so it
They
actually got worse.
They moved it down 1.
Yeah, but there is protection there to the top 5. I don't know. I don't know a world where it makes sense for a team that finishes 13 spots ahead in the division of another team and then picks 3 spots ahead of them in a world where you can't trade draft picks either. So I thought it was an overreaction to what was going on, and I thought it was smart by the owners to say to the players, no, we'll help stop the tanking because that's the only reason we're not spending money on payroll while we continue to, outside of 2020, bring in more money. Revenue has gone up and up and up and up and up, and the payrolls are not going up and up and up, whereas, hey, look at the NFL. The salary cap 10 years ago was $100 million less than what it is right now because every year it's going up like $10 million, and there's more money everywhere. And now look at the wide receiver market in the last 3 or 4 years. The high tide lifts all boats. Aaron Judge ain't doing anything else for another center fielder out there. The center fielder market ain't helping Michael A. Taylor now because Aaron Judge got 360.
Now here's going to be the fun thing that baseball fans get to experience for the first time. When the Yankees are bad one year and then they win the first overall pick, and they have like the 7th best odds to do it or whatever, you guys are going to get to hear the "it's rigged, they rigged the lottery" thing that basketball fans get to hear
frozen
like
envelope.
once every 8 years.
The frozen envelope. How did Cleveland win the draft lottery with LeBron from Cleveland? Come on. Patrick Ewing and the frozen envelope.
Or the Pelicans winning it with Anthony Davis and Zion.
Yeah. That's.
Can we just abolish the draft? I know I'm not going because I think I'm with you on everything you've said so far. This is randomness for the sake of randomness. It's all kind of a smokescreen. What if we just you ever do an auction draft in fantasy or a salary cap draft? I think
I'm a fan of those.
You are, right?
Yeah.
If we figured out a way for teams to like, you can do this with fictional money. You can say, or maybe this is their real contract. I don't know how we make this work. But maybe it's just for the first round. Maybe it's for the top 30 players or 32 in the NFL and say, hey, you guys get this much allocated money and you decide how you want to make this happen to where you can still allow for the option of parity. But if you're a team like the Panthers coming into this year's draft, you might overspend for your choice of quarterback because you think, hey, that's the only thing we really need right now. If you're the Chiefs in 2020, you could say, bleep this first round. We're just going to sit here and here's a nickel for a running back. And then all of a sudden that value is not so bad anymore. Like it would really create some fascinating team building options. And the draft being built on be the worst, get the best player is kind of backwards from the rest of sports. Sports doesn't reward ineptitude anywhere other than in the draft like that.
So I want to play a couple clips in the winter meetings because
seems like you're on board. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, totally on board. I mean, there's the draft pool in Major League Baseball and all of that stuff.
Yeah, baseball is the closest to making that happen. They actually have a system in place.
And here's a nickel for this guy in the 15th pick overall, and we're going to pay even more for the 38th pick overall.
Not to mention all the international spending budget. Again, it gets convoluted.
Yeah.
But there's at least a logic to it.
So you want it more to be international signing, to where you get, here's your budget for international signing. You've got $8 million, and you can spend all $8 million on this player in Venezuela.
I would be very curious to see what a slightly more extreme version of that would be, because I do think we've accepted the draft because it's fun. It's been that way for a long time, but it's definitely not the best way of determining what teams, quote unquote, deserve the best players. Because then the Pirates just wait long enough, and eventually you hopefully get a star.
So I want to play 2 quick clips from J.J. Piccolo and Matt Quattrero yesterday at the winter meetings. Here's J.J. Piccolo on the improvement, where it has to be for this Royals team and how they get better in the pitching side of it.
They moved through the minor leagues really well. They threw strikes. They competed well. We're really happy with what we were doing on the minor league side. In major league side, we're trying to pinpoint exactly what it is, but it really comes down to just throwing strikes. As simple as that sounds, getting ahead in the count, throwing strike one. They have put away pitches. They have great secondary stuff. But if you don't get ahead in the count, all the game planning you want to do, it just kind of falls to the wayside. So we got to get back to the basics.
First pitch strike percentage and first pitch strike has been something they have talked about for roughly a decade and a half now. They talked about it all this year. They finished 30th. They talked about it last year. They finished 30th. They talked about it in 2020. They finished 27th. Now, the last 3 years, the Rays have finished 2nd, 3rd, and 3rd in first pitch strike percentage. The Guardians, 7, 11, 4, 4, 2, 2. Those are the previous 6 years for the Guardians. So maybe going the route of Guardians and Rays, J.J. Piccolo's going, well, now we're going to actually have people in place that are going to emphasize it without us just saying, hey, we should emphasize this throwing first pitch strikes. How did you guys do it in Cleveland and Tampa to get your guys to actually do this? Now, do you want to really tweak some Royals fans and put a knife in the back and sort of twist it? You want to do that right now?
Your eye levels were lower than they could have been because you would have seen the cringing that my whole body did for that whole
first
clip.
pitch strike.
So yeah, let's do the next one. I bet this is going to make me feel even better.
Matt Quattrero was asked specifically, hey, Ryan O'Hearn, what's
Jason, I don't know that I can do this right now, man.
What's his role going to be in 2023?
I could speak to the roster more as a whole, and I think what we're going to try to do is use the entire roster. I think we're going to try to put guys in positions to where it's an advantageous matchup for them, use off days judiciously to help guys get rest and stay fresh and plug guys in and kind of use them on more of a fluid rotation. So I would anticipate him getting more at-bats than he probably had last year, and being a big part of the team, whether it be off the bench or in advantageous matchups, on any given night.
Not only did they re-sign him, the manager says, I anticipate him getting more at-bats this year.
He's playing, baby!
Oh, I heard that, and that's one of those, all you can do is kind of laugh at it because, what are you going to do?
You're getting that vitamin O.
All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back and
we need one.
Continue rolling right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Talked a lot of Royals today.
Sorry.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson, Josh Brisco, Beards, heading up until 2 o'clock. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, roughly an hour from now. A little less than an hour from now, we'll hear from Andy Reid at the podium. He'll be looking forward to the challenge of facing the Denver Broncos coming up on Sunday in Denver at 3:05. And then Cynthia Frelund coming up at 11 o'clock. A couple of things that we will talk with Cynthia Frelund about coming up then. 913-912-4810 is the text line. 913-912-4810 text line to be a part of the show. Text says MLB is so jacked up already. Until they establish a salary cap, and I'll never get financially or emotionally invested again. Huge Royals fan, becoming less involved every year. Draft news makes me want to completely tune out now. Yeah, I mean, I get it's frustrating. It is because you could have had the 5th pick, now you've got the 8th.
But also the 5th pick, to it. The fifth pick would not move the needle today at all, right? I mean, it's just the sort of baseball apathy there where it becomes a hyper-local sport. You can care about it locally. Braden Gall made a point at the beginning of college football season that stuck with me all year long. Don't watch this whole season waiting for the playoff picture. Enjoy what your team can do. Baseball is sort of whipping towards that, like in a perhaps worrisome fashion, minus all of the enthusiasm and stakes of college football.
Well, tanking is such a conversational piece now because of the process and other things that have taken place that I actually believe in tanking.
Yeah, it would be the better way.
And I understand where, from a fan standpoint, where you've got an owner or a GM that's saying, hey, we want to make money. Come out to the stadium. And behind the scenes, they're like, yeah, we're trying to lose. We need to lose these games because we want this, this, and this. Yeah, it's trying to, serve two completely different philosophies.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make money, but we also want to tank, but we want the fans to come out there. So it's kind of lying to your fan base of, no, we're trying. I believe Dayton Moore really did want to try. I believe Dayton Moore really went out and said, no, we want to win as many games as possible this year. It's kind of a black mark on the overall resume because he was wanting to do that and still lost 100 games as opposed to just saying, no, we're going to tank and get better draft picks, whatever. But, if you're in the NFL and you're tanking to get a stud quarterback, it actually works because now you're set up for the next 10, 15 years. Another text earlier says, yeah, you can get the number 1 pick and you can get those guys. You could also get Baker Mayfield. That's right. That's the luck of the draw, that when the Chiefs had the number 1 pick in 2013, there wasn't a can't-miss stud quarterback there in 2013. It was, do you want Eric Fisher? Or do you want, whoever else was in that draft?
There was one can't miss, gotta have him, future superstar at quarterback.
Oh, that's right.
It just took Geno Smith 10 years
exactly right,
to become that guy.
Yeah. Chiefs will face off against Geno Smith in a couple games. That's right. It ends up being the luck of the draw when you lose and things like that. Other texts have come in and said, well, stop tanking by rewarding the better teams with better draft picks. Well, that's assuming the teams that are struggling are tanking.
Right.
Because if you say, well, another one that said reward the top team to miss the playoffs, the number 1 pick. Well, if the top team to miss the playoffs had a quarterback get injured along the way, and that's the only reason they missed the playoffs, were they tanking?
Teams are always going to try to game the system.
Yeah, were they tanking, or was it just unfortunate? And now you've allowed that team to get even better when the NFL wants to have parity to bring everybody together so everybody has a chance. That's why it's the number 1 sport in America.
Kick off your home.
This Sports Center is brought to you by the University of St. Mary. Visit them online at stmary.edu for their info session. Thinking about finishing your bachelor's degree? Take a bold step forward during University of St. Mary virtual info session. Register for the December 7th event. That's tonight at stmary.edu/RSVP. Cynthia Frelund will join the Zone coming up next to talk about the Buffalo Bills, the Cincinnati Bengals, and how the Chiefs stand in the rest of the AFC. But the Kansas City Royals took one more loss in 2022 last night, though it wasn't their fault. In the first ever MLB draft lottery, the Pittsburgh Steelers won the number 1 overall pick, but the Royals fell from the 5th slot down to the 8th, providing the largest fall of the night. The other biggest risers, the Twins and the Tigers, right here from the AL Central. Again, Cynthia Frelund will join the show next from NFL Network to break down how the Chiefs have fallen to the Bills, to the Bengals 3 times in a row, what the AFC will look like. That's in the Zone next.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
John Elway will not play. You're going to have to trade him well, he could still draft you and then trade you.
Nay.
Well, you don't have a choice. If he drafts you, then he can trade you.
It was a John Elway.
I got it.
Damn it. I just went right on past it.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
I would continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. We'll talk to Cynthia Frelund here in just a little bit. She's running a touch behind.
Hey, real quick, Josh. Who was it that won the MLB draft lottery last night?
The Pittsburgh, did I say Steelers?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Was that in the
Sports Center.
Oh, nice. Okay, go ahead and mark that.
Yeah, you can go ahead and have that one if you'd like.
That whole thing's going to be in cut.
Dang, the Steelers won.
Yeah, you know, sometimes, Beard, sometimes I get a little, hey, Sports Center at 30. And sometimes I don't.
Well, sometimes it shouldn't catch up to you or catch you off guard because Beard says, hey, you got a Sports Center at 11.
I had everything written.
That was an hour ago.
I had everything written up.
I remember hearing it.
Needed just the lot, you know.
I remember hearing that.
I was busy. I was listening to Jason tell stories.
Thank you. 913-912-4810 text line. Some tweets coming in with the tweet that you sent out about one of the texts that came in about maybe the Chiefs shouldn't circle any games. A few texts, tweets that said, did they circle the Bucs? You know, was that a game that they were? And I get that point, but Justin Reid is the one that said, right? It was Justin Reid that said.
Justin Reid said those were the three that they circled.
3 games that were talked about.
Yep.
With the Chiefs and the players from last year that they were looking forward to. Bills, Titans, Bengals. They went 1-2, and they pulled out a miracle against Malik Willis and the Titans for that one win. Joined now by NFL Network's analytics expert, Cynthia Frelund, joining us here in the Zone. Cynthia, how are you, ma'am?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for shifting me by 2 minutes. We had a little. Gordy decided to eat a sock, so we had to figure it out. Figure it out.
Does Gordy sometimes get in and eat the socks? Is this a common occurrence with Gordy?
You know, I was a little surprised because usually he chews it and just lets it go, but he chewed it. I said stop, and then he swallowed it.
Wow, that's like my 3-year-old daughter, not with the sock, but it's like, Jules, stop, and she'll just stare at me and keep doing it. Like, what are you going to do about it, Dad? You know what I'm going to do about it?
He definitely
ask you
that.
Again. That's what I'm going to do about it. So do you have specific socks then for Gordy now that, okay, we know he's Gordy, he or she is a sock lover, so here are specific socks we've set out instead of just being annoyed that the dog is getting into our socks.
Oh, it's a dog?
He cannot eat anymore. Oh, yeah, Gordy's my dog. Yeah.
Josh is joking. He was joking, thinking it was a child.
Anybody.
I love Gordy. He's so cute, but he's not allowed to eat any socks because that was scary. I had to he definitely, it came back up. So
that's good.
It was,
well,
I was just afraid. I was Googling dog Heimlich maneuver.
Wow. Well, I'm sorry that we're kind of having fun with what actually was a very scary moment for you. I thought you were just cleaning up throw up, you know? Oh, no.
Well, no, he was fine. He's fine. Okay. He's totally fine now. No more socks. I think maybe that scared him socks. I hope.
I'm now picturing the scene with There's Something About Mary when he's trying to give CPR to the dog. And There's Something About Mary. Now I am picturing that scene and what Cynthia might have been going through in the last 10 minutes or so. So, sorry that happened.
It was just more oh my goodness. I was just patting him on the back. I didn't know what to do. So then he threw it up and then we're good. And, onward and upward. On with our day.
Well, here's my transition. a lot of people around here that wanted to eat their socks and then ended up throwing up when the game was over.
I don't know that that's true.
I'm not sure about the sock thing, but the second part might be true. What's your reaction and takeaway to another Chiefs loss at the hands of the Bengals?
It's interesting because if for whatever reason, look, I know that after the game, I saw Patrick Mahomes walk up to Lou Anarumo and say, congratulations, you got it. But look, again, I'm just not worried. I know it's not ideal, but I'm not that worried. Some weird things happen. You never, you can always rely on Travis Kelce. Sometimes stuff happens and you move on. And I just think it's interesting, they were shorthanded, of course. They're missing kind of their best corner. And they kind of figured out just some ways, the way that they play their zone, the way that they don't use a blitz, the way that they're able to generate pressure, and the way actually the Chiefs defense wasn't able to generate pressure. Those things all combined. It's not just the offense.
So, it's been interesting because we've had these conversations 3 times now against the Bengals that, we talked yesterday and, the day before and even earlier in the show that, I can go back and pick maybe 5 plays total from the 3 games and say those 5 plays are different. The Chiefs are 3-0, but they aren't, and they aren't against the Bengals. So is there a matchup problem? Is there something here that, that may not be randomness or noise or small sample size, that there could be something that, one part of the Bengals or coaching or something has the Chiefs number?
I know that it's weird, but the sample size is still just 3. It's not like it's 300. It's not like there's all of these examples that are just so hundreds of, it's just, it seems big. I understand because, first of all, the Chiefs' expectations are so big, but it's not randomness. It's the fact that, in fact, the NFL is pretty, parity is real. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we're able to have these teams be so closely contested is, there are teams that people, they understand, it's perhaps something about the way, the configurations. There are people who just, you understand better in life. I understand certain coworkers more than I understand other coworkers. It's just the way that it works, right? So, at the end of the day, it's not like this huge advantage situation. I think if that game were to be played again, I think the outcome would be different. And I think if you played that game 10 times, the majority of the time it would go the Chiefs' way. It's unfortunate that it feels like this because this is one of those things where, the statistics kind of, they lie to us a little bit.
So is statistics as in the simulation or what we feel to be true based on the stats versus what we're seeing in real time play out and being 3-0 against the Chiefs? Is that what you mean by statistics or something else there?
Yeah, I mean, it's look, being 3-0 against the Chiefs, it just feels like, oh, wow, the Chiefs, they can't figure out the Bengals. The Bengals, they've just got their number. But, in reality, that's, it's not the case, right? It's not enough evidence, at least, to be the case. It has happened. There are small things that change. Sure, I will say Lou Anarumo does do a good job of adjusting the defense in second half, mm-hmm. but he also does a good job of that against other opponents, and it doesn't go their way either. So it's kind of one of those things where I'm sure there's some psychology that you could put around it to say, there's something that makes them more pensive, or maybe there's some play calling tendencies that happen in that game versus others because they're trying to overcome something. But I don't have enough evidence of that to suggest that could be true.
Is it? I mean, could it just be a reality where the Bengals are better than the Chiefs, which is for the last 4 years?
The Bengals are not better than the Chiefs.
Okay.
No, the Bengals are not better than the Chiefs. The Bengals are not better than the Chiefs. If you played that game 10 times, it wouldn't come out in the favor of the Chiefs. It would come out the greater, maybe 7-3, right? Something like that. So unfortunately, look, we always talk about this. NFL is a game of inches, of course, and it's also a game of, if there are 60 offensive plays in a game, you got to get 58 of them right? You can't afford very many mistakes, especially against people who, are good. And remember, Bengals always, it's kind of what happened in the last year. They did not start the season off well last season, and
mm-hmm.
they got considerably better as the season went on. That's kind of what happens with them. That's their trajectory. And this is a game of inches. It's true. It's also a game of plays. And again, it's sometimes the football drops your way and sometimes it doesn't. Think about those endings against the Chargers. Is it ever in doubt? You're always okay, Travis Kelce, overtime, we got this. And and that's statistical anomaly too, right? Like they play the wrong defense. Okay, well, Andy Reid's got that mismatch. Like they took advantage of that one situation. But if a pressure had come faster on Patrick Mahomes, maybe they wouldn't be able to do that. So at the end of the day, it's like this is a hard game to keep winning consistently.
Is there, it's interesting. You said that those Chargers games, you're like, the play's made, and you just expect that to happen. Is maybe there's something, with the Bengals, that it is a team that in no way, shape, or form is scared of the Chiefs, and they almost come off as cockier than the Chiefs. And by the way, they've got scoreboard last year to be cockier this last week than the Chiefs. And maybe there's an element of the Chiefs, looking at a team that says they're not scared of us at all. We don't have that mental edge. But is there something along those lines to where late in the game the Bengals just feel like we're going to be the ones to make the plays, and the Chiefs almost take on the role of the teams when they're playing the Chiefs of, well, we can't make a mistake here because we're going to lose?
There's got to be something to the psychology of that. Like I'm sure somebody who's a lot smarter than me about like the way psychology influences it. Of course, it feels like that's about right. But the statistics would show to me that like the Chiefs are still a better team. Now maybe they picked the wrong play at the wrong time and they were mentally psyched. I don't know. I can't speak to that, but I will say like there is nothing. If I were the Chiefs coaching staff, I would be like, there is absolutely nothing about this team that's better than us. And I mean, I wouldn't say that out loud, but I would say it to them in the locker room. I wouldn't say it in a press conference, but I would say it in the locker room, right? Like this team can't beat us, won't beat us. Like sure, they got us the one time because they're also professionals, and this is this game is full of people who are very good. But at the end of the day, we are better, and we'll get them next time. And that was a weird result, and stop thinking about last year. Like move on.
Okay,
onward and upward.
Yeah, Cynthia Frelund is our guest, NFL Network analytics expert. So I want to examine it from that standpoint of sort of the belief of, don't worry, we're better than this team. Joe Burrow, after the game was over, was asked about 3rd and 11, and why not just play it conservative? Why not play it safe? Run the ball, keep the clock running. They're out of timeouts. You're already up by 3. Kick a field goal. You go up by 6. They got to go the length of the field. And Joe Burrow said, the quarterback on the other side, right? Like, who's over there. We kick a field goal. They go down and score a touchdown. Regardless of the fact that him essentially saying our defense isn't going to stop them, but it is a way of approaching that game of saying, no, 3rd and 11, I'm trying to pick up a first down because that's how we win the game. If we don't pick it up here and stop the clock, okay, great. 40 seconds. Is that going to be the difference of winning or losing? There's number 15 over there. I don't think it is. Whereas if the Chiefs go into the game and maybe have the idea that we're better, and they don't approach it that in the fourth quarter that, hey, you know what, number 9's over there. And if we give the ball back to him, he's going to go and score, and they're going to win the game. And I bring that up because the Chiefs at 3 minutes 20 seconds to play in the fourth quarter, they're down by 3, and Andy Reid sends the field goal unit out there to tie it up. And I don't know a soul really that was sitting there going, okay, cool, tie this up, get a stop on the Bengals, and go win. To me, he sent the field goal unit out there, and I said, Chiefs lose 30-27. That's the first thing I thought. He'll make it, and they'll lose because they couldn't stop Burrow, because that guy's on the sideline, and that's the way the Bengals approached it was, Mahomes is on the other sideline. We got to do whatever it takes to win, not tie.
Well, I would think it's kind of more like, look, the Bengals typically wouldn't go for it on 3rd and 11 because they're like, see, here's where the psychology maybe plays out in the math. And maybe this is something I can look into more specifically. It's inspiring me.
Nice.
Like, how often in that situation is Joe Burrow making that decision, or is the Bengals coaching staff making that decision?
Yeah,
right? Because typically they don't do that. So now you're seeing a play that they have specially designed that hasn't been thrown out there before, right? Like they're trotting out something different that the defense isn't prepared for. And by the way, that's how Mahomes has some magic too. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, that part of the reason that they do that is they're doing wild things on downs that they haven't shown to other. They've got like this secret book of like amazing plays that we haven't even seen yet. So now you're trotting that out there at a time that's really critical. Like the defense is, and you get an advantage because the defense has no idea what they're looking at. So at the end of the day, maybe part of it is how many novel plays are being thrown out there at ends of game scenarios because of that decision. Oh gosh, I need to keep Patrick Mahomes off the darn field. Right?
Yeah.
So that would be where you could see some of that momentum. And I can that's a very interesting play. And I would do it for all of the top guys, for Josh Allen, for Patrick Mahomes, for Joe Burrow, even for like the Brady's of the world, because we clearly saw what happened in that one too. So it's just interesting to see because that's where the offense has an advantage when the defense doesn't know what they're looking at. Because defense is like process of elimination, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you see this, then it's not this. If you see this, then it's not this, et cetera, et cetera. So that's maybe where the momentum, quote unquote, could be like demonstrated mathematically.
The 4th and 7, and we mentioned that they go for the field goal. What did the math say to you? Andy Reid said on Sunday and then asked again on Monday that on that 3rd and 3 play, he was in field goal mode if they did not pick up the first down. So it wasn't Mahomes got sacked, lost 4 yards instead of 4th and 3. It's now 4th and 7. He was hobbled a little bit. We decided it was best case to go kick the field goal, go play defense. At least what he said in answering the question was, no, we were going to kick the field goal. The 3rd down, we want to pick up the first down, and if not, we were going to kick the field goal. Even if it's 4th and 7, does the math say it's a better chance of winning the game by going for it on 4th and 7 rather than even if the field goal is made and it ties it at 27 with Burrow and the Bengals getting the ball back with 3 minutes to play and all 3 timeouts?
Yeah, I mean, the next-gen stats don't agree with that. However, they will say that it would have been better to go for it. But and that's what the next-gen stats are. Now, you have to remember, though, this is an average. The models that we use as outsiders, they're averages of, like, every team. So it's not the Chiefs versus the Bengals. It's every team in the NFL, good, bad, and in between, right? Like, it's all of them. So I kind of hate that model. And we also don't know. Maybe someone was getting a little banged up. I mean, the Bengals are bringing some pressure. You don't know exactly, because we can always assume as outsiders that people are 100%. If they're playing, they're great, right? It doesn't, factor in how many times right guard has been beaten up in the game, right? It doesn't factor in those things. So we don't know exactly what all the things that were going on were. We just know that his decision was to trust the defense. And that didn't work out. So it's hard. It's kind of like 6 of one, half a dozen of another, if I'm honest. Because when I go back and try to approximate what was the pressure situation in that game for the O-line, they hadn't been getting as much pressure as they saw in that game. So it's okay, well, maybe it doesn't feel that much different, and we don't know that insider stuff that goes on the sideline.
Yeah, and also factoring in the defense hadn't stopped the Bengals. That they had 1 3 and out, and that there was an offensive pass interference on that 1 3 and out. But still, I don't want to take away the credit for getting a punt. But other than that drive, the fewest yards they gave up was 52. So, you're almost counting on if they're going to get 52 yards and they start from the 25-yard line, well, then you're talking about a field goal from the 23-yard line in Chiefs territory to win the game. The factoring in of what the other team has done and the defense's inability to stop that team on the previous 4 drives, and the only, drive they stopped them outside of a punt was, a 70-yard drive in which they stopped them on 4th down and inches inside the 10-yard line.
Yeah, but then you could also make the counter argument, the offense has been out a ton. We need some fresh legs in. We, put up the points. They're already fresh. I don't know. There's just a lot of ways you could slice that, and we don't know the exact situation of the personnel that's been going. That's always where I'm I don't know. In situations like that, I'm just going to give Andy Reid the credit here for knowing what he's got, because maybe his thought was, all right, even if it's a quick 3 and out, we'll probably still have enough time for Patrick to be able to come down there and kick a field goal too. So we only need 13 seconds.
Yeah. Cynthia Frelund's our guest, NFL Network analytics expert. So breaking news in the NFL right now, Von Miller is out for the season. He has undergone ACL surgery. Sean McDermott said that he had exploratory surgery just to see what was going on. While inside his knee, the doctors found a torn ACL, repaired it. He is lost for the season, is Von Miller, 8 sacks in 11 games. So a huge loss for the Bills as they now try to win a Super Bowl without their biggest offseason acquisition to help shore up that defense. So Von Miller is now out for the year. Real quick before I relate it to the Chiefs, what does that do to the Bills now, knowing that Von Miller is not going to return?
Well, it puts a lot more pressure on whatever they're trotting out there from their defensive backs. And I say whatever, meaning they've had a lot of injuries to the secondary, and Tre'Davious White coming back hasn't quite been 100% yet, and now you have Xavier Rhodes, and that secondary's been very susceptible, and without Vaughn up front, that really changes it. And in Buffalo, look, I did preseason there. If there's one thing that the Buffalo Bills want, it is all of the pressure, and they love defensive pressures. It doesn't even need to be a sack. You see a guy get through that line and change the quarterback, they're like, we did it. That's the identity of their team. So it is a huge loss for them in so many ways. But I mean, they brought Von Miller in to stop the Chiefs. That is 100% what that contract was about. So, and you saw it in game one.
And in game one, he did it.
Game one this season.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. You saw that's what they brought him there for. That was what he was. That's why he's there.
Cynthia Frelund is our guest. I want to relate it to the Chiefs then, because if I just ask, how much impact can one pass rusher have? Well, just a simple in a vacuum answer is, well, yeah, he can be a game wrecker there. But I bring up that question of one pass rusher because I'm just wondering, is it better to have 4 average rushers across the line, across your defensive line, or one elite pass rusher, and then 3 guys that are sort of below average and just a guy, like replacement level players? Because I feel like that's what the Chiefs have right now, is an elite player in Chris Jones and getting no help from anybody else. Certainly in that Bengals game, what's a better way to construct a defense to maybe be more consistent and put pressure? Is it 4 guys across the board that are average, maybe to a little bit above average, or a stud elite player, but you can't surround him with anybody that's of substance?
Well, I mean, you have to kind of factor in what's available, and the reality is if you can get that stud and you can back it up with a really nice secondary, then it's very helpful, right? If you have the one stud and a couple of other guys who are kind of more just guys and replacement level guys, but you have a really nice secondary, then you're okay, right? But if your situation is it helps to have a lot of pressure kind of all around, and the more pressure you can bring, the better, of course, and especially where people are rushing from. Chris Jones rushes from a very important spot. You've seen now people keep pushing people wider and wider out, and that makes it harder for the pass rusher to have enough time to even get to the quarterback. So Chris Jones, where he lines up, is just super important. But the reality is it's not like there are tons of pass rushers out there that are of this caliber. You can't just go to the store and be like, you know what, I'm going to pick up a really nice, 75% of Chris Jones level guy. They just don't, they don't all exist like that. So the reality is you got to kind of figure it out given the game plan and structure of who you're facing each week. And, look, I think these guys are coming along, Karloff, just great pickup. But you have to remember, he needs some time to mature in the NFL. It's not like this stuff people don't blossom overnight, right? It's very hard to blossom overnight. So at the end of the day, it's kind of the summary of the sum of all of the parts. And to give the Chiefs defense a little bit of credit here, I mean, the Bengals had been playing without Jamar Chase and T. Higgins together for quite some time, and they threw out a bunch of new looks last game. So it's and your secondary is young. I mean, there's a lot of new pieces that haven't been playing together as well. So it's hard when I'm going to give credit to Jamar Chase. He's an elite wide receiver. In his year 2, he's already elite. And T. Higgins is vying for a contract. So he's going out there and he's like, I need to get that bag. So they're coming up with things that are exploiting areas and things that we hadn't seen before. So those new looks are a big deal.
Yeah, and moving forward, it's going to be interesting to see what the Bengals do, because Higgins getting money, Chase getting money, Burrow getting money, Lou Anarumo getting a head coaching job eventually, I would expect, and so there's a lot of shuffling and figuring out, where they're going to allocate their resources coming up pretty soon. But as it stands right now, they've got some stud players there that are on rookie deals, and it's working for them. And they've beaten the Chiefs 3 times now. So also coming in,
it's a fun name to say though. Anarumo. It's a fun name.
Yeah,
Coach Anarumo.
I'll be looking forward to saying that name with a head coach somewhere else.
In the NFC.
Yes. Go to the Panthers.
Head coach Lou Anarumo of the Carolina Panthers. Fantastic.
Carolina Panthers head coach Lou Anarumo.
Go take care of that. That's great. News coming in out of Baltimore. Lamar Jackson has suffered a sprained PCL, and he is out 1 to 3 weeks is the expected timetable of an injury like that. But the expectation is he will miss a couple weeks. We'll see what a couple means and when he's ready to come back. So it's not season ending. and it's not something that should keep him out for, a month and a half or anything, or hopefully you get him back in the playoffs like the 49ers are hoping with Jimmy Garoppolo. Cynthia Frelund, NFL Network. Real quick, do you have a score margin for the Chiefs and Broncos this weekend, on Sunday?
Oh, yeah, it's big. I think it's 15 points, and
Okay.
I think my favorite. I definitely think it's like if there were ever a week for Travis Kelce to score a touchdown and just absolutely go off, it's this week. It's just one of those things. And I also think all of your running backs it's gonna be interesting to see how the split goes. I think this game, that Broncos offense is not good. It's really strange how bad it is, right? Because it doesn't even make sense. But you have to give credit where credit's due. I do kind of feel bad because there are some really good pieces on this defense, and it'd be fun to see a good game just nationally. But I mean, the only reason Patrick Mahomes won't have 450 passing yards and 7 touchdowns is because they're not going to need it.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be this, but I don't know. That offense is terrible.
Russell Wilson playing the role of Gordy, then, is what you're saying.
Russell Wilson playing the role of Gordy when eating a sock. Yes.
Cynthia, thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it. I know a lot of stuff going on there as well. Thank you for carving a few minutes out today.
What kind of dog is Gordy?
Gordy is a rescue, and I haven't done his DNA yet, but he looks like he's a husky and maybe a German Shepherd.
Oh,
Husky,
God, Cynthia.
German Shepherd.
Oh, boy. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
I was picturing this small little dainty dog.
But it's a puppy right now, right?
He's like a real dog.
Oh, boy.
He's a real dog.
That's gonna be a couple of dogs in one, I think.
Yeah, he's a real dog, and he's named after Gordie Howe because I'm from Detroit, or I'm from East Lansing, but, obviously the only thing good we have there are the Red Wings. And Gordie Howe, and he's not a fighter, he's a little lover. And he was super malnourished, and he has put on, since coming to live with me, he's put on 11 pounds, and he got a clean bill of health, so
Nice.
I feel like a happy mom, except all the sock eating. I was mad at my motherhood status there for a second this morning.
Great
2
stuff.
pounds of that are socks,
Yes.
but other than that, it sounds like it's going
Fine.
really, really
all
well.
Good. It's all good. That is great. That is great. Yeah, good for you in at the rescue as well. That is really cool. Cynthia, really appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Enjoy the football, and we will talk next week.
Thank you. Talk to you next week.
Absolutely. There's Cynthia Frelund. If you missed the first part of that conversation, she was a little late getting on the air because her dog Gordy was throwing up, and she had an emergency because he had eaten a sock, and then she was trying to figure out how to get the sock out because he was chewing on it, and then decided to actually try to swallow it, and she couldn't figure out what was going on, and then spits it up, and then there's throw up and everything going on there, and
that's no little deal. If a dog swallows fabric like that, I have a similar. I'll give you the quick version of the story. We were Radio Row, maybe Lake Tahoe, one of those things. We were out and about. And I got a call from now fiance Renee that Scout the dog, a small little fluffy white rescue dog.
Not a real dog.
Not a real dog by Cynthia's standards, and I don't even argue against it. Small little fluffy white dog. She had eaten the strap of Renee's sleep mask, and if the dog swallows it, that can get tangled up in its intestines and stuff. That's a real serious thing. So I was on the phone with Renee as I was looking over the top of a rooftop swimming pool, watching Johnny Damon just standing there having a conversation. It took me a second to place him because I hadn't seen Johnny Damon in a minute, but I went, that's sort of strange. That's Johnny Damon over there. Meanwhile, Renee is very concerned about Scout's little tongue. Scout also barfed it up, all as well.
Thank goodness.
When in doubt, barf it out. That's what I always say, and that's also been Nathaniel Hackett's main coaching strategy this year, so it's all tied together.
That's right. Cynthia also saying that she was immediately trying to search dog Heimlich
Dog
maneuver.
Heimlich.
And I'm just picturing anybody that's seen There's Something About Mary, Matt Dillon, when he's trying to do CPR on the dog. Stay away from the light. Oh, okay, just
See, there's a movie I've seen.
Yeah, there you go. Tosses the dog out the window. All that being fake, everybody. We're not advocating that, but
No,
yes.
it's great. All is well.
Thank you to Cynthia Frelund. How about Cynthia? Very forcefully fighting back. They are not better than the Chiefs. It's randomness. It's the NFL. It's parity. It's real. It's sample size, and they play 10 times more. The Chiefs might go 7-3 in the next 10 games, and just it's what happens in the NFL. So, 15-point win for the Chiefs over the Broncos is what she has. And I'm going to guess that's something like 27-10. I'm going to pick them to cover the number, but not the total. This is a game where the Chiefs are able to score, and then in the third and fourth quarter, Andy Reid's like, let's just get out of here without showing anything else. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. More Zone next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Turned out he went 20 minutes in his opening monologue. Like, come on, that's too long. You don't need to be talking for like 20 minutes in a monologue, guy. I mean, jeez Louise. Let somebody else have the mic a little bit.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we'll head out to Arrowhead Stadium here in just a little bit. Thank you to Cynthia Frelund in the previous segment, NFL Network analytics expert.
I checked the film, spent the entire break scrolling through her timeline, finding more pictures of Gordy.
Stalker.
Incredible dog.
Been stalking her dog.
A true specimen. And yeah, I don't even have a defense for that.
No.
If you tweet about a dog, if you tweet about your dog and you can confirm that your dog is in fact a good boy or a good girl, I will spend the entire next commercial break scrolling your timeline.
Also a real dog.
Yes, verified.
I said, she said it was a Husky German Shepherd. She hasn't got the DNA, but a Husky German Shepherd type mix. And I said, I was picturing like maybe a smaller dainty dog. She said, no, this is a real dog.
A real dog. That told me a lot about Cynthia, just like that.
Absolutely. I'm not going to get a dainty. This is a real dog. Are you kidding me?
And I'm a fake dog guy. I'm a little fluffy dog guy.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And I'm a no dog guy.
That's right. Yeah, good point.
We don't have any pets.
You are not a pet family at all.
They want to be. I'm more of the, if we get the pet for the kids, it then becomes my pet because I know I'll be the one that will be required to do all this stuff, even though it will be, hey, this is responsibility for you, Everett. But when he obviously does not live up to that responsibility, because he's 7, it's going to fall back on me. The person that's like, I didn't want the responsibility. I don't want to be walking the dog in 20-degree weather. It's not something I look forward to doing.
Little dogs, they wear themselves out a lot faster.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe we are a fake dog family.
You get a fake dog, and they wear themselves out a lot easier, and their poop is smaller, so you can just leave it in the backyard, and eventually it'll, you mow over it or whatever. Now it's fertilizer. Really take the parts of having a dog that I have no interest in are the poop picking up and the long walks for a big energetic dog, and also shedding. I don't like. This is why.
I can't stand the hair.
I had no idea we had this in common. Drives me absolutely up a wall. Yeah. Can't do it. I respect Cynthia for having a real dog. This dog is a beautiful specimen. I love him.
But do huskies shed?
And German shepherds are just a little. They are basically. What was the red, the big fuzzy red character from Looney Tunes? It's just eyes and shoes and fur. That's a German shepherd, basically, in my experience.
I was around a little bit of a Jack Russell Terrier,
mm-hmm.
and those things, I don't know how they ever have hair, because just holding the dog, my legs were than the dog when it got, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't. I'd have to have a lint roller on me at all times, and I just then every once in a while you have hair in your mouth or whatever.
Oh,
it's just like
yeah.
Like
no, that's not it.
Right, but the other benefits are fantastic.
Yeah,
like the other dog parts of just the unconditional love.
You need
of the dog.
You need a small hypoallergenic dog. I'll tell Renee that you're looking. She'll be thrilled to help you guide you through this process.
Is that right? It's Renee will be our guiding light.
She browses like KC Pet Project's website for fun, hoping to eventually find a second dog that she can sell me on. I love our one dog. I don't need a second dog in my life.
Mm-hmm.
She would like another one.
It's the one thing that I really like about Toy Story, and all of the different characters play their role, right? And Slinky Dog is ever and always there for Woody.
Wow, it's beautiful.
He is always going to be loyal to Woody. People may not have picked up on that through the Toy Story, but anytime there's an issue with Woody, Slinky Dog's there by his side and taking his side.
That's beautiful.
Things. The dog is always unconditionally loyal.
And that's the second most important thing a dog can do, the most important thing being not shed. Slinky, both of those.
Right. We've got a Slinky Dog in our house. Why isn't that good enough for them?
Yeah, just okay, never mind.
I've changed my mind. And I give and I provide, and it's just never good enough. We'll hear from Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes on the other side. More Zone next.
You're in the zone with Jason Anderson on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Frank Bull texts and says, get a dog, not a live chia pet. Wayside
Or
Waves.
Get a live chia pet.
Woof, woof. I mean, we got Slinky Dog. And it is very easy upkeep. See, I like all of the things that would go in with owning a dog. It's just, the responsibility, the hair,
you're afraid to feel love. It's okay. You can admit it.
Training and things like that. Well, I'd have to
Unconditional
love
love
myself first.
See, exactly.
Right,
but a dog can help you do that.
There's nothing you can say to me that I haven't already said to myself, okay? So you can talk about this all you want. It doesn't matter. I've already done it. So we'll hear from Andy Reid. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes and Trey Smith. We'll hear from Trey Smith as well. I do wonder how healthy, it's not to make excuses or anything, but I do wonder how healthy that ankle is for that leg, an ankle is for Trey Smith, because it's one of those things that when you get hurt early in the season, are you ever 100%? Like, is Butker 100%? Joe Tooney, it was obviously bothering him.
He's not.
Heyo.
Yeah, it was obviously bothering Joe Tooney to the point that he misses a couple of games. So even when he was playing, not being able to really, he's pretty. He's not the dog down a hill, grinding, mauling blocker, but he's not getting walked back to the quarterback. And when that happens, there's something going on. And that's when you knew, like, all right, maybe there's something more to Joe Tooney, this injury. And then he's missed a couple of games. So that was unfortunate. But, so we'll hear from Trey Smith, too, on this team and getting ready for the Broncos. I do like the text that said, will Andy Reid say that the Broncos are well coached?
We know he'll lie to us, so I think he does. But it would be so funny if because it would be funny to us if he went up there and said, "We're looking forward to the challenge of playing the Broncos. Time's yours." Because if he just skips that part, well-coached team, good, in fairness, I think the defense it probably is well-coached. What if Andy Reid says they're a well-coached defense? They've got a quarterback who we've seen a couple times before.
That would be great. The special teams was really well coached. They've got
so well coached on defense and special teams.
Well coached running back that they got off of a team's practice squad a few weeks ago. If you missed it, about 45 minutes ago, that it was announced that Von Miller has torn his ACL. He is out for the season. He had ACL surgery to repair that yesterday. Sean McDermott at a press conference today said they didn't know the ACL was torn. They went in to have exploratory surgery to see what all was going on and to really get an idea of, okay, what's the damage? Where's the trauma? What needs to be fixed? Close it back up and just rehab, rest, something like that. And when they went in there, they found that the ACL was torn, which is interesting because it, with today's technology, you would think the MRI would just reveal that. But it didn't reveal that, and they had to actually go in to see what's wrong because, I don't know, maybe it wasn't responding the way that they thought it might, a couple of weeks after the injury. And they go, okay, well, let's see what's going on in there. Oh, it's torn. While we're in here, we're going to repair it. You're out for the year.
And at one point, I mean, it really was maybe he'd only miss one game. And you're right, it's such a good point that, like, you don't see this happen this way very often. And frankly, it makes me wonder how often that does occur. That maybe ends up impacting guys for a longer period of time. Maybe they're playing with a torn ACL and don't even know it.
And sometimes surgery doesn't go well. Justin Houston, we've seen like different things that have happened over the years, and so it is unfortunate. I've said that it's rare that there is a player that plays in the AFC West against the Chiefs, plays really, really well, and I like him. And Von Miller is one of those guys. And now he plays for the Bills, and I still like Von Miller. So it's unfortunate, but he is a guy they signed specifically for the Chiefs.
Maybe to some extent even for the Bengals, if you want to extend that respect.
If Von Miller's not on the field earlier, I think the Chiefs beat the Bills. They didn't. Here's Andy Reid.
Practice today, so in some form or another, and we'll see how that goes. Look forward to the challenge of playing the Broncos. We get rid of the record on this thing as we evaluate them and look at them as a team, and their defense is one of the top defenses in the NFL. Red zone, they're top, and then third downs are top, and they're playing like crazy, and their offense is like one fingertip away from winning games. So we've got to make sure we have a good week of practice and get ourselves ready. And it's an AFC West opponent, which is always, that's great competition. Anyways, with that, time's yours.
With the Broncos defense, earlier this year they made some trades at the deadline and got rid of some of their better players, but they still keep going. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, well, they're well coached and they play hard. They still have good players there, so they play hard. So.
Andy, there was a stat CBS showed during the game. You guys have had 7 straight games with the turnover. I just wonder if there's something that you've noticed that's a theme throughout that, or if it's just, at this time of the year, that's something you need to, try to cut down on.
Yeah, you can't turn the ball over. I mean, so we're always constantly talking about that, and I'm not sure there's not necessarily one thing is happening, but the end result is a turnover. So we've got to take care of the ball.
Coach, an in-house matter, we haven't had an update on McCole Hardman in a while. If all things go well, he might be able to come back next week. How's his progress in injury?
Yeah, you know what? He's doing well. He had lost some weight. He's put the weight back on, which is good. And he's out running now, and he's getting close. Yeah.
What's your expectation? You think you might have him back next week?
There's a chance. Yeah, there's a chance. Give him a couple more days here. We'll see, but he's doing well.
Yeah. Feel like Kadarius is in a place where he could play?
We'll see. I'm gonna let him get out there and work a little bit, and we'll just see how he does. We're not, I'm not gonna bring him back and have him hurt it again. That's not what we're looking at. So just see what he can do.
Did Tooney have a setback, maybe in practice Friday, or?
No, his thing was just getting that final push, that you can get off of it. In the run game, it's day to day, so he feels better this week than he did last week. And I just thought that, he's made as much progress as he has. Let's just give him a little bit more time. So that's where I was at the end of last week.
Coach, it came out that Orlando Brown and Andrew Wiley are kind of the top 2 tackles in the league, giving up pressures. What's been the process in trying to help them? I know there've been a lot of chip blocks and things like that, but what's been the process?
Yeah, well, they've gone against some good players, and yeah, we do try to help them with chips like we would anybody that's in there. I mean, these defensive ends we've played are pretty good, and the 2 that we're playing this week are good too. So, that's part of it.
Andy, overall mentality of the team after a loss, you know what you guys got in front of you. Probably got to win out to try to, make a shot at the 1 seed there. Just you still trying to emphasize, things are still out there in front of them.
Yeah, the guys know. I mean, they know where they're at. Nobody knows better than they did about what's out front. So you don't have to stand up there and preach to them about that. They want to do well, and they want to win games. That's the mentality of this team. So. They battled their hearts out Sunday, and it didn't work out. Come back and let's go.
Coach, the challenge of playing a team almost back-to-back so close in a short time, what is the challenge in that?
Yeah, well, we've done this the last couple of years with them, so with this group. And so the challenge is you just played them, and they kind of know what you've got, and you know what they've got, and you go play. But we're okay with that.
Andy, obviously the guys are aware that that Bengals team is a team that you could potentially see again. What's the balance of sort of compartmentalizing that and moving on versus using some stuff that you saw?
Yeah, so I think the important thing is you learn from every win and loss, and then you move on to the next game, and that's what these guys have done. I mean, they're tunneled in. I mean, we're deep into this thing. As coaches, we were deep into it Monday morning. And so by the time you all woke up, it was lunchtime for us.
When you say you learn from your wins and your losses, obviously it's been 3 times small point differential in the defeat, but what do you take away from that so what you saw in Sunday's game doesn't repeat against Denver?
Yeah, well, the things we talked about after the game, I'm not going to go into it. I mean, I've already covered that. I'm, again, on to Denver here. So we're trying to get ourselves right for that. And They got a good football team, so we got to make sure we're right for Denver.
Well, I'm sorry. I guess what I'm saying is, because you said what you saw on film and it was lunchtime for us. What did you see on film? Not right after the game when you spoke to us, but what did you see on film coming back that you felt like
Yeah, what I talked about Monday. Yep. Yeah. Same deal.
Yeah. What have you seen from Melvin, and is there a chance he can help you this week or in the next couple weeks?
Yeah, I mean, there's that chance. We're fairly healthy there, so. But I'm glad we have him here. He does a nice job for us. So.
When it comes to Patrick in this league, he's been largely dominant, and this team in particular seems to have gotten him a couple times. Not to say he's good at dwell, but how much do you sense is getting him that he sort of can't get over that Bengals hump in a way?
Yeah, listen, we're past the Bengals thing. I'm on, way past that. So let's keep going on to Denver. I mean, you're asking me questions about them, but you're asking me to forget about them. So they're forgotten. On to this one. Yeah.
Last three, we'll go Nate. Okay, I can't think y'all care. Go ahead.
Coach, sometimes we talk to the players when they get ready to go to the Mile High Stadium and say, I can't breathe there, I've got to have extra oxygen, and others, it's not bothered at all. So how do you prepare a team when some guys it really affects and other guys not at all?
Yeah, we've been okay there with the breathing part. It's been late in the year. Normally you're in pretty good shape. The weather's a little cooler, and you go in and it doesn't hit you quite like maybe early in the season.
Right.
Andy, two things, if you don't mind. One about Justin and one about Patrick. It seemed that you might have had either a conversation or something with Justin last week after his comments, and I wondered if you felt the need to talk to him again after the Twitter post he had yesterday.
Yeah, he's good. He's all right. He's good. He knows.
And on Patrick, I wonder if, as the Man of the Year nominee, what that sort of says about how he's become emblematic of your team and how that sort of stands for him in a broader way.
Yeah, sure. He does a great job leading here, but he also takes that into the community. He's done that since he's come here. He's big, obviously, on kids and their needs, and people in general. He's got a big heart that way for people. So, and I think it's a tribute to him and his family and the efforts that he puts forward. You're tired during the season, but yet he gets out there and gives back, and that's an important quality to have.
Coach, you mentioned that the Broncos defense is still what it is. The offense hasn't quite gotten there yet. They've made a lot of changes, right? They brought Russell Wilson. It hasn't been exactly what they want. Have you seen things from them as they've gone throughout the year when you look back and take that they're getting closer to that? And just a little bit about Russell Wilson and any respect you have for him.
Yeah, so I've known Russell, competed against him for a long time. So he's a heck of a player. They're, like I said, they're like fingertips away, and our guys have a chance to look at that on tape, which is important to understand. And you have to make sure that you get yourself right, technique-wise, to play against those receivers, and in particular him with his timing and run ability. So he can still scoot. And he's slippery in the pocket, so you've got to make sure you handle all of that the right way. And the best thing that I can do as a coach, or our coaching staff can do, is show the players. And the players want to see that; they want to learn from it. And but that tells the story. So I can sit here and tell you he's a fingertip away, but they're seeing it, and they understand that.
Last one, Nate.
Andy, leading an organization for 24 years, seeing how much the Man of the Year award is the most prestigious award you can win during a season, just what feeling does it give you when the quarterback is nominated for the award?
Yeah, well, he's the one that's one of the faces of the franchise. He's out there, and this kid is known throughout. You probably could say throughout the world. I mean, I was over in Italy and people were going, Mahomes, so I'm going, all right. They know who he is, and it's a tribute to him and how he handles himself, and And I think it's great. I mean, I'm proud of him for what he's done.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, there's Andy Reid. Everybody practiced today. He said that includes Kadarius Toney, Joe Thuney, those guys. Mecole Hardman on the IR, eligible to return next week. He said that he lost some weight. He's put it back on. He's running, getting close. There's a chance he can play next week. And they are on to the Broncos. They are on to the Broncos, which, by the way, is a well-coached team. Good defense, a fingertip away from having a lot more wins. That's right. Throw the record out.
Russell Wilson can still scoot.
Get rid of the record. Well-coached team are the Broncos, and now we just need to see a team that loses to the Broncos that then will have a we're on to another team, because the Chiefs lost to Cincinnati and they're on to the Broncos. Yep. When the Patriots lost to the Chiefs, they were on to Cincinnati. Chiefs lost to the Bengals, they are now on to Denver. Somebody's got to lose to Denver and then be asked about that over and over for a coach to go, I don't know why you guys we're on to insert team city here. But Andy Reid, not happy about continued questions about the Bengals, which shows you that around here, not really moved on from that game. Here's Patrick Mahomes.
You guys seem to do it all the time against Denver.
Yeah, I mean, I think the challenge is they're a good football team. Their defense is special. They have a good scheme. They have good players. And so when you play division opponents, you obviously know they've studied you all offseason, so you try to have a concept of what you do best, but at the same time throw in some wrinkles so that they can't be on top of your best plays. And so for us, it'd be a great challenge against a great defense to go out there and try to find a way to put up enough points to win.
So is the game plan different when you play them twice in almost like 3 weeks or something?
I mean, obviously you have similar plays, but you utilize plays that kind of go off of each other, so they can't get a good concept of what you're trying to do. And I mean, they're a great defense, man. They do a lot of great things, and so it'll be a great challenge for us as an offense. And I got to do my best to get the ball in my hand and let these guys make plays.
Patrick, Andy really made the point as far as moving from the Cincinnati game to this Denver game. I wondered what your process of doing that is, and is it more difficult when it's a team that you feel like you could potentially see again?
Not for me. In this league, you got to move on, or you're going to make one loss turn into two. So you watch the tape on Monday. You get a sense of what you could do better and what you can take away that you did positive. Then you move on to the next week, and that's what we're doing, and we're ready to play a great football team in the Denver Broncos.
Patrick, is there a sense of pride in the fact that you've never lost to the Broncos in your time here, and just what's always given you so much success against them?
Yeah, we just really emphasize playing our division opponents. That's something that we work on all off season. In order to get where you want to go, you have to win your division most times. And so for us, the coaches do a great job of giving us great game plans, and then I try to go out there and execute them. And we just really emphasize trying to beat our division opponents, and the Broncos have been one that's been a great challenge for us every year.
How were you made aware that you were the team's nomination for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award?
Well, they let me know a few weeks back. We had the announcement last night at my gala. But I mean, obviously a tremendous honor. I mean, not only to be the Walter Payton nominee for the NFL, but for the Chiefs, who have the most Walter Payton Man of the Years, and it's such a prestigious honor for this organization, especially to give back to the community that gives us so much. And there's so many deserving guys on our team. So for me to have my turn this year, something that I'll hold for the rest of my life.
Patrick, I know you have bigger goals, but you can also clinch the AFC West this year. What kind of achievement do you feel like that is? Understanding, again, you have bigger goals.
No, it's a huge deal, man. I mean, obviously you want to win the Super Bowl every year, but it starts our first goal when we walk in is to win the AFC West, and that takes week in and week out, great preparation. It's a division that's always tough, always has great teams in it. And we know whenever we go in every week, they're going to give us our best shot. And if you look at all the games that we play, we've won a lot of them, but they always come down to the very end. So we know it's a hard thing to do, and we're going to take pride in trying to do that and win every time we play against these opponents.
I know you don't know anything different than winning the AFC West, but I was just wondering whether this one might feel a little different, given how the other teams really seem to load up this year to kind of take you down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's a little different. I mean, we feel like this division is one of the best divisions in football every single year. And I think you see the records go lower because we're all kind of beat up on each other. But we've done a great job of winning those close, hard-fought football games. And that's a tribute to the coaches and the culture that Coach Reid has built here that started even before I was here. And so we know it's going to be a great challenge week in and week out, year in and year out. And so we just focus on doing whatever we can to put ourselves in position to win it.
Patrick, I know with 15 of Mahomes and all the stuff you've done, going back to the Walter Payton Man of the Year award, a nominee, but how impressive you've been that's been able to grow in your time here to what it is now, and just seeing that come to light, where you've been able to help so many people.
Yeah, I mean, it's way past what I even dreamed of it ever being. And I think that goes to the people that I have around me and the people in the communities that have brought me up. They've been willing to give back and help me kind of follow this dream of giving back to the communities that help me out so much. And it takes everybody. It's not just me. I mean, I'm the face of it, but there's so many people behind the scenes that make this thing go. And the community, like I said, in Kansas City and Tyler, Texas, and Lubbock, Texas, that have donated their time, their money, whatever it is, to make this foundation become what it is. It's truly special and something that I'll have for the rest of my life, and something I never could have even dreamed of.
The last time you lost this year, you guys won 5 games in a row. What do you think it is about this particular room that enables you to rebound in that fashion for such a long stretch?
Yeah, I think it's just a mindset of when you lose, you get that sour taste in your mouth, but you have to kind of do whatever you can to get better from it. It's cool to see with a lot of young guys that you do that, because a lot of times you see the young guys, it can go bad fast, but we've had guys that bounce back and continue to work to improve, learn, like I said, from the negatives, take away from the positives as well, and be better the next time we step on that field. And that's what you want when you're kind of getting to this late part of the season, when you're trying to build and make a playoff run.
Patrick, are you a believer that you learn more from a loss than a win?
I think you have to learn from both. In order to be great in this league, you can't. You don't want to lose, so you have to be able to learn from those wins just as much as you learn from those losses. And the losses might, I guess, set a little bit of a fire under you sometimes, where you want to go out and especially that next week and prove that that's not who you are. And I think guys understand that, is that we left some tape out there that we weren't necessarily happy with. So how can we be better this next week, and so that we can improve as this season goes on?
How has the foot felt the last couple of days after the game?
It's felt good. I mean, you always deal with bruises and little things in the NFL season. And so luckily for me, it's just a bruise and something that I can just kind of bounce back from and be out there at practice and keep getting better like we're trying to do.
Patrick, I don't know if you saw the ESPN interview with Andrew Luck. He finally talked for the first time since he retired. And some of the things he talked about, the burden of being the face of the franchise and all that, and life changes. And you've gone through plenty of that stuff here recently as well with the addition of your son. How have you balanced all that stuff and still put all the work in that you need to put in to go be, at your best when you're out there on Sundays?
Yeah, I haven't seen the interview yet, but obviously I think it takes like I said, it takes a lot of people. It's not just me. It takes Brittany being at home with the babies and taking care of them throughout the day, making it easy. When I come home, they're all happy and ready to see me. I get the easy part of it. It takes my family being behind me, supporting me. It takes people like a culture like I have here in Kansas City, where I can come in and be myself, have this personality that I have. And it's hard. I mean, it's hard for anybody when you have this much pressure on you every single day to go out there and be your best. But when you put the right people around yourself, you can just enjoy it. And I think that's what I try to do every single day, is understand that it's a pressure and it's a hard opportunity, but you're blessed to have it. So you have to enjoy it every single day. And when I stop enjoying it, I think that's when I'll walk away. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Patrick, you guys, we'll go 3 or 4 more. We'll go with Vahe and walk around. Nate, Steve, Nate. Go ahead.
Patrick, also with regard to the Man of the Year nomination, you'll always be a proud Texan, but at this point I wonder how much you sort of identify as a Kansas Cityan too, and what this does kind of to, I don't know, fuse together your image as the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm like dual. I'm a Texan and a Kansas Cityan for sure. I mean, I'm building a house here. I'm gonna be here for a long time. I always will have a house in Kansas City, and I think that's just because I appreciate the people so much and how they've taken my family in and made it a part of this community. And I think y'all know, I mean, this community is special, and I'll always have that Texan in me a little bit, but the Kansas Cityan is definitely something that I'm proud of.
And is there a parallel, do you think, between you saying you're the face of the foundation, but also maybe with all the things working behind it, and same here with the Chiefs, that you're the most visible part, but it's all the things behind the scenes that make you go?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, it takes, like I said, it takes everybody. It's not just me. And everything that I do, I just try to go out there and enjoy the moments that I have. I know I'm blessed to be in this organization, to have the people that I have around me, and to be in this city. And so I don't say I'm the face of the Chiefs, though. That's Coach Reid and that mustache. So I'm gonna follow behind his lead.
Patrick, you guys still lead the league in points per game, yet you have a minus turnover differential. When you hear that, just from your perspective, how good do you think the offense can get, or even better if you guys do cut down the turnovers?
Yeah, I mean, we just have to continue to get better at it. I mean, I have the interceptions, like I said last week. There's like one dumb play a game. I got away with it this last week when I tried to throw the ball to Juju and they dropped it. But kind of get away with the dumb plays. The one dumb play I have a game, and then ball security. I mean, I talked about after the game. I mean, Travis fights those yards and he doesn't fumble. I mean, that's just one thing. The guy made a great play, and our defense. They're around the football, so I know the turnovers are coming. And when they do, I think we can even be a better team.
Steve?
You guys have had the ability to be able to battle from behind, right? Like, start off slow, not only this year, but years past, and come back for the win. But do you feel like you guys have kind of gotten complacent and settled for that?
I don't think so. I think we just have to be better at executing earlier in the game. I felt like we had a good drive that first drive, and without him knocking that ball down, I think we could have got the ball to Travis with a chance to score there on that first drive, and we ended up getting behind. And I think the good thing is that we've done it before, so we don't panic. We just go about doing our business and stuff like that, and taking it one play at a time. But obviously, we want to try to build up leads if we can. But whatever way the game takes us, I've trusted our guys are going to fight until the very end of it.
Last one, Nick.
Patrick, heading into week 14, what offensive identity do you feel like you guys have been able to build with these 13?
Yeah, I think we're becoming more and more balanced as the year goes on, and I think that's going to be a good thing as the playoffs come. We're able to run the ball well. I think Pacheco's doing a great job, as well as those other backs of hitting it when it's there and getting the yards that's there. And then we've been spreading the ball around, and I think that's been the thing that I think it can take us into the playoffs. Is obviously we have guys that can make plays, but if we can spread the ball around, be balanced, I think we can be a better team at the end of the season than we were at the beginning.
Thanks, Patrick.
All right, there's Patrick Mahomes talking about this Denver Broncos game coming up this week. His Walter Payton Man of the Year nomination as the Kansas City Chiefs representative, being a Kansas City and a Texan, sort of dual citizenship, sort of, that he'll always be here in Kansas City, building a house here. So no matter where he's going to be, he'll always, be around the community as well. That, not anytime soon, as you talked about, with him no longer playing football. The foot injury was just a bruise, and said this time of year there's always going to be, nicks, bumps, bruises, things like that.
Played off the big toe thing a couple years back also. It was a real good question from Matt Derrick. Real good question.
And said you worry about last week, you lose again in the NFL. So they are getting ready for the Denver Broncos. They're not thinking about that, and sometimes that loss is extra motivation that you want to get back out there and prove that that's not who you are. They left tape out there that we weren't happy about, quote. So, yeah, I mean, I would guess that would be what happened, that there were some plays that you're not happy about what took place across the board. Pass rush, pass protection, probably running the ball. I mean, I think McKinnon and Pacheco looked pretty good, but there's probably a play or two where they look at it and go, oh, man, boy, if I could have just done this. Or, I don't know, McKinnon maybe on that 2nd down and 10's like, oh, that screen, what if I cut that way? Maybe I pick up the first down. Like, I have no idea what's going through their minds. I've watched that 2nd down play a lot. I'm not sure he could have done anything but pick up the 7 yards that he did. But I don't know what that may be going on in the film room and the secondary and linebackers and everybody else that's there, and Winchester and Butker, and Townsend probably thinks he could have been better on the hold. Like, everybody across the board is looking at it and going, we lost that game by 3, and there are so many plays that me personally I'd love to have back and just can't do that. So now you got to go out and try to get better and improve upon that. Said that the identity is that they've become more and more balanced as the year has gone along, running the ball effectively and spreading the ball around, and that's how they will win games.
You just got to be able to do whatever defenses don't want you to be doing, and then you have to do that in a punishing, effective, efficient way. And they have been running the ball as all of those things so far, at least these last couple of weeks, which is a really big deal. Balance doesn't mean 50-50. It doesn't mean run it 25 times, throw it 25 times. But having that in your bag is an important thing for an offense.
And, it's not the results-oriented analysis on that 3rd and 3. Talked about it on Monday. I really wanted to see them run the ball there.
Yep.
I love putting the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands. And I get the thought process of, so if you lose yards on that play running the ball, and then he settles for the field goal, you go, on 3rd and 3 with 3:20 to play, you're down. You'll run the ball instead of letting Patrick Mahomes throw it. I absolutely get that. Understandable. But when we're talking about when people come out and say, oh, the Chiefs are running the football now, how are you going to stop this offense? Now that they're able to do this and they're effective in running the ball, look what Pacheco has done. That is an offense that's going to be tough to stop. Well, the Bengals were saying, yeah, it is an offense tough to stop if we have to worry about the run.
Yep.
But we're not going to. We're not going to worry about the run. Even on 3rd and 4 from the 8-yard line. We're not going to worry about the run. Oh, hand it off, 8-yard touchdown. We were worried about the pass. And on 3rd and 3, they dropped 8. So that's where, is that the next evolution of this to where in Andy Reid's probably entire life, that 3rd and 3 is a pass. It's a pass. It's a pass. But is the next evolution of my offensive line is really good at run blocking, and this defense is letting us run, and we need 3 yards. I'm just going to hand it off, and then I'll give it back to Mahomes on 1st down and 10, or I'll hand it off again, and on 2nd down and 7, 2nd down and 6, I'll put it in Mahomes' hands. But right now, I don't need that guy to save us. I don't need him to wear a cape. He had to wear a cape against the Titans. He doesn't need to wear a cape in this game. He can, be Robin, every once in a while and not have to be Batman and Robin and Superman and all of the Avengers.
He became some of those are DC guys there,
I know, I threw that all in. DC and Marvel. I combined it. That's what he has to be.
He can be the Justice Avengers League on 4th and goal, which he already was in that game.
Right, yeah,
he did have to do it once already, and you're still in that spot. One of the reasons that Andy Reid on 3rd and 3 has thrown the ball his whole career is because that's not what you're supposed to do. I put that in air quotes.
Yeah.
That is the counterpunch, because defenses have been watching Jerome Bettis at this point, and 3rd and 3 means bust for 4. That's what that usually
means. And then kick a field goal, because we're in field goal range. Don't lose the 3.
Right. It's run, field goal.
That's right.
And Andy Reid broke that mold. And look, I still think across the board, offense and defense, I think this game was more about execution than coaching. I think it was more about player issues than coach issues. But Andy Reid had a couple of flubs in this game, and just handing the ball off twice, or planning for the 4-down territory of running the ball twice in that spot. I would run the ball on 3rd down, and then if it's 4th and 2, if you do lose yards on that, then you do put it back in Patrick Mahomes' hands again.
I'm not going to hand it off to Michael Burton in that.
Right.
And I liked the 3rd and 1 earlier in the drive. I think it was that same drive when it was the fake to Burton, pitch to Pacheco. Went outside.
Yep. Man, he made a good play on that one. That we haven't talked about that this week. That angle and that decision from Pacheco, frankly, I do not think 25 picks that up. I think that is a Pacheco.
Oh, I don't think 25 picks it up either.
That's a Pacheco 1st down.
I wonder if Pacheco, as he gets older, is able to cut that back inside and pick up more yards. If he's able to sort of, I think, understand that he's a much better cut and get upfield than he is fast laterally outside like that.
I just realized what that play reminded me of. Is the end of the Big 12 championship game last year. Where as Pacheco is stretching it out to the side, I thought, I don't know that he's got the angle on speed, but this dude's a horse. I hope he puts his shoulder down.
And he did.
Yep. He got as much distance as he could, but then he played through the contact because he had the momentum in that spot. And I haven't seen a Chiefs running back do that since maybe Priest Holmes. I don't know. That might not be fair. But
once it was one-on-one, once Jamal.
No, I mean, he would just beat you. He would just get to the corner
but
first,
I think he was tough. That he would
absolutely.
He would take you on as well if need be. Don't you dare
no,
disparage Jamal.
Hold on, let me get my wallet. I'm a lifelong card-carrying member of the not only the Jamal Charles fan club, the Jamal Charles Hall of Fame ballot club.
You know what my son was watching this morning on YouTube? Jamal Charles highlights.
I should also
say there was a tear that was coming down my eye.
It's beautiful.
While I was telling him to appreciate Slinky Dog over there.
That little child right there, that is half your DNA, and you knew it in that
exactly
moment.
Right.
When I say 25 doesn't make that cut, I do mean Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Now that we've mentioned Jamal Charles, I'd like to make that one very clear.
Absolutely. No, you just said since Priest Holmes, and I was throwing Jamal.
No, that's totally fair. I just want everyone
and taking a guy on Larry Johnson, but still, I get
Larry Johnson would have done that.
I get the overall point.
But the Big 12 title game last year, I was thinking is you over rely on the speed and the angle, and then you run yourself out of the play, or you try to do too much back there, and now you've lost the aggressor's position.
Yeah.
Pacheco's always the aggressor, even coming off the sideline.
And I wonder if in a year or two he's maybe more in tune with his ability at the NFL level, that he's not a guy that is better laterally quick as opposed to foot in the ground, and I'm going to drive right at you, and I can be better in shorts, in shorter, smaller space, and then burst from that smaller space into sort of setting up defenders that, in 2 years, does he cut that up and pick up 6 or 7 yards?
Yeah.
As opposed to, I'm just going to beat him to the outside. But also, you're down by 3. There's 4.5 minutes to play, 3rd and 1. I got to pick up the first down.
Yep.
And maybe in the middle of the game, I might cut this up and get 7 or 8. But I'm not going to take a chance of cutting this up and that guy making a great defensive play and cutting with me, which I don't think he will do. But if he does that and takes me head on and somehow I don't pick up the first down, now I'm going to look at film and everybody's going to go, just beat him to the outside and pick up the first down.
Right.
So maybe that was a veteran play. We're nitpicking a play in which they were successful. But that's the beauty of, the unknown of what Pacheco can be as he progresses.
I just want to keep seeing steam come out of his
Yes,
helmet.
absolutely.
And on that one, it was just a locomotive, just thunka, 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 thunka. And I was just so glad that it ended in contact and not him diving out of bounds.
Well, the difference between if you, as soon as he pitches the ball, right, pitches the ball out, they fake to Burton and pitch the ball out. If you pause it like Zach Morris and Saved by the Bell, and you take number 10 off the field, and you put number 25 on the field, I am not confident that that's a first down. He may get it. I'm not saying he won't.
Yep.
He may get the first down.
Totally
but
good.
I see that and I go, oh my God, you're going to try to have Edwards-Helaire beat somebody to the edge. Play, number 10's on the field, press play. As soon as he pitched it, I'm like, well, first down. What are they going to do on 1st and 10 now?
I was excited
what's the
to
next set of
see
downs?
it felt like watching the opening scene of Godzilla versus Kong. Like I just wanted to know what it would look like when they met.
Yes, yeah. I mean, there was not a doubt in my mind that he was going to pick up the first down, and I think that's what's this offense, the evolution in gaining what Patrick Mahomes says is the identity of being more and more balanced as the year has gone along and being able to run it. And then also, hey, spreading the ball around. Whereas at the beginning of the season, it was about, oh, we're having success, we're spreading the ball around. I told you guys, fantasy manager, sorry. It's going to be a different guy every week. Now it's balance. And the first thing he talks about is how good the running game is and what it's been able to do. And I think that is absolutely what's happened. And the next step would be, utilizing that in a situation to where you are now countering to the counter, as you say, 3rd and 3 forever was a run play, and Andy Reid forever has gone, nah, I'm going to pass the ball on 3rd and 3 because you expect run. Right. Well, now they expect pass from the Chiefs on 3rd and 3, especially in a team that couldn't stop the run, and they were still saying, we'll surrender the first down running the ball. But we're not going to come up and overplay the run, and you beat us over the top, and now we're down 4 with 2:45 to play, and we need a touchdown to go and win. That's not going to happen. You're going to hold everything in front of us, and at worst, if we keep you to a field goal, we win. We win. Field goal is a win for the defense in that situation.
Yep.
When the Chiefs got the ball with 8-something to play, field goal was a win. Anything but a touchdown was a win for the Bengals defense. And I believe they went into that drive knowing that. So we'll see. And I did appreciate too, Patrick Mahomes talking about different things that are on film or not on film, and that you learn from, that he talked about the opening drive, that the ball was knocked down, and he was like, it was there. He made a great play.
Yep.
There is nothing to where you go, oh, I wish I would have done this or that. I mean, a guy getting his hand up at the right time while he's moving to his right, putting his hand up while the ball is going to have to meet at a split second, right? A half second here or there, and the ball goes right by his hand. How many times have we seen a ball go right next to somebody's hand? And it's like, oh my.
Every snap almost?
Yeah, how did he miss that?
Yep.
He got it, and Mahomes like, no, he made a great play. It's unfortunate it happens. Those things happen in football, but Kels was there, as he said. But we'll see. 5 games to play. Broncos this week, 27-10 final.
Fingertip away from being a good offense.
I've already told you the final. It's
spoiler alert. Spoiler alert, yeah.
It's 27-10. There's no reason to watch. I'm telling you guys.
They simply cannot lose that football game.
Yeah, it's not a must-win, but it's a you better not lose that.
It is a different type of must-win. It is a can't lose. It is a cannot lose type of game.
Is that what we said with Missouri Vandy? That Missouri
Yeah,
Vandy,
I think it was.
Missouri Vandy was it's not a must-win because in theory you could go and beat Kentucky, and could you beat Tennessee? No. Could you beat Arkansas? Could you win some of those games? South Carolina on the road? Yeah. So was it a must-win for Vandy to get to a bowl game? No. But it's a you can't lose game. Yep. It's not a must-win for the Chiefs because could the Bills drop 2 more the rest of the way? Could the Bengals drop 1 more the rest of the way? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but don't lose it. Don't lose the game.
And they just shouldn't. I thought it was interesting. Mahomes talking about learning from wins and losses, but somebody asked, do you learn more from losses? And his answer is frankly kind of what I expected, but it was interesting to me that he said, well, there's sort of a different energy to it after a loss when you start looking around and you realize, hey, we're trying to learn from film we were embarrassed by rather than film no one else is going to be picking through quite like that. You know what I mean? Like you win a game well enough and you win a game 31-17 or something. You can go back through and let your coaches tell you what you did wrong and nitpick at stuff and try to improve. But it's got to be a completely different attitude whenever you have like half your defense on Twitter defending themselves after a game, and then you're taking that energy to a week of preparation. I'm not surprised by kind of his answer there, but I do think that's an interesting thing to keep in mind and how teams are trying to improve, especially for a team like the Chiefs, where every loss on some level is sort of embarrassing.
Should we take a break, Beards? We're waiting on Trey Smith, but I don't know that.
I have not heard anything.
He will be at the podium in mere moments. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
All it needed to do was me to go to the bathroom, and our food was going to show up at the table.
That's how that works.
It's the only thing that needed to happen.
Still holding it right now.
That's right.
We should get Trey Smith up at the podium there any second, Beards. So, Big Head, as Eric Bieniemy called him in reveal. I'm guessing he'll be asked about that at some point today.
About Big Head. What size do you wear here, Trey Smith?
My cleats and getting to do the Blood Clot Alliance. Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you as far as being able to have a platform for that organization and for everything you've gone through?
Yeah, it means the world. I put up a tweet and Instagram post about it, talking about how I had blood clots in 2018. And for me, it was a life-changing event. Obviously, anytime you have something that threatens your health and overall well-being, it's different. And experience that at a young age, it changed me a lot, and being able to represent that, bring more awareness to the cause, and really potentially save lives and just bring more awareness to it. I'm ecstatic, I'm stoked that I can have the opportunity to give it a platform.
Do you think about, just because I know how much you got bombarded with questions during the draft from, I'm sure, teams and media and everything like that. First of all, for your health, any recurrence since then, or you've been completely healthy and no problems?
Yeah, none whatsoever. Been completely healthy. You got to really give a major shout out to University of Tennessee, their medical staff that did their due diligence, making sure that I was safe to play and just safe in my overall life as well. And then the Kansas City Chiefs medical staff has done a phenomenal job as well, just making sure that they were comfortable with the plan. And like I said, we have had 0 instances, 0 issues whatsoever, and it's been clean, But I thank God for it, and, just thankful for my overall health and well-being.
You mentioned how it has changed you, and in a way it has, because you're regarded as one of the top young guards in the NFL. As you look back at your journey in the NFL now, knowing what you had to go through to get here, how much do you feel like, this was all worth it?
Yeah, it was hard going back to college days, not knowing if you're going to be able to play anymore. And then being able to be in the position I am today, is something short of amazing. Really thankful to be in the position I'm in. But, I think resiliency throughout my whole situation, man, things did not go right for a long time for me. But ultimately, keeping the faith, keeping a positive mentality and a workman's mentality, just keeping my head down, just keep working. Eventually, it's going to pan out. I'm thankful that I did that instead of choosing a different route, quitting and, sort of feeling bad for myself. But ultimately, super excited and thankful to be where I am today. Nothing short but the grace of God down here and standing in front of you today.
Troy, can you talk a little bit about the Denver defense? Coach was saying, looking at them, don't look at the record because they're still a very dangerous group. Can you talk a little bit about what you're seeing that kind of backs that up?
Yeah, I've briefly watched them on film a little bit, playing the guys last year. They're a very talented front seven and defensive front. I know a couple guys that play there. Haven't played them last year. Extremely athletic. They play hard. There's no quit in them. It's definitely going to be a tremendous challenge up front. like Coach alluded to earlier, the record says something, but the team's playing extremely hard, and you have to respect that ultimately. But it's going to be a tremendous challenge up front.
And of course, a division opponent. They always want to come at the Chiefs because the Chiefs have been at the top. So you're expecting their best shot, I would think?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Does the air there bother you? I mean, am I the only person who climbs stairs there and can't breathe?
Yeah, game last year definitely felt it a little bit. It's just different, at altitude. It's definitely pretty real. I have some family members that lived out there. And just, this is something you have to acclimate yourself to as well.
Trey, when you look at your teammates on tape, on the O-line, or also in the workroom together, what characteristics make you guys so unique?
I think it's just the workers' mentality. Just going out there, we talk about, the mentality. It doesn't matter how you feel, the state you're in, get the job done, whatever it takes, whatever it means. So I think ultimately that's how I try to play the game. Just play no matter what happens, play hard for my teammates, play hard for my brothers beside me. Ultimately our goal is to get a win every week. So you play with that mentality that whatever it takes, I'm going to give my effort on this field. I think good, positive things are going to come out of it.
And for you and your teammates, you guys have had a couple times where you got rolled up on or something. You guys have soldiered through it, and week after week, game after game. Where does it come from for you guys?
I think it's just sort of like an O-line mentality. We have a job we have to do, and we have to move guys up front, and we have to put players that get more recognition than us a lot of times, get more of the acclaim. But ultimately, we make things go. And, it's a sense of pride that I'm not going to let my team down. I'm not going to let my brothers down. I'm not feeling 100%, but I'm still going to go out here and try to give my all on this field. So for me, I think I can speak for myself. Seeing a guy like Joe Tooney, definition of toughness to me, doesn't matter how Joe feels, he's going to try to go out there and get the job done. So for me, just seeing that, his leadership, it speaks volumes of how he plays. And for me, it's just like he set the standard. Just going out there, even when you don't feel like you just go out there and play.
And I know Cincinnati and a couple other opponents have kind of snagged 6 or 7 on third downs and you hit the line there. What all you guys have to evaluate and go through from a pass protection perspective to take care of who you need to?
Yeah, we just identify the fronts, man. A lot of times, Pat gives a call and we work with him. He's the field general out there, and we pretty much do what he says. We just adjust accordingly, whatever the game plan the coaches has, and we sort of just operate like that.
Like Nick said, this time of year you're playing through all the bumps and bruises and everything. I know you've been having to kind of play with a knee brace lately. How does that impact you? Does it bother you at all?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think when you're limited athletically, sometimes you rely on the training, the technique, and the trust you have in that. So for me, going back to even the St. Joe's days, just trying to rely and focus and refine my technique to be in the positions I need to be.
Talk about being grateful. Are you grateful when Coach Bieniemy calls you big head?
Yeah, he made that comment the other day, man. It's not the first time he called big head, but no, that's pretty funny, man.
Trey, the line doesn't always get the credit or the praise, but people are quick to criticize. How do you block that out, or do you just ignore it, or what do you guys do?
Yeah, just back to having a workman's mentality, just keeping our head down and grinding. Pretty much just coming to work every day with a chip on your shoulder, wanting to get better, wanting to improve, finding facets of our game that we can get better at. I think ultimately you can ask anyone in this league, it's not going to go your way you want every Sunday. But there's always something you're improving on. We're always chasing and striving for perfection. We're going to come short because we're human beings. But, I think at the end of the day, just keeping our head down, working, and just trying to improve week in and week out.
And Trey, another group that maybe doesn't get the recognition deserves the training staff for you guys. What is it about them that they seem to be able to do the job that they do to get you guys back out on the field?
Yeah, they're beasts. They do a great job. Been there a little bit this year. Just the positivity, just being there, working on things, addressing issues, figuring out and formulating plans, how we're going to get the job done. They've been extremely proactive this season and every year and trying to make sure we're at our best on Sundays, game days, and throughout the week. They do an excellent job working with them. I'm just thankful to have them in my lives as well.
Okay, thanks, Trey.
Thank you.
Thanks, Trey.
All right, there is Trey Smith, right guard for the Chiefs. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue rolling. Mick Shaffer hangs out with us in the 1 o'clock hour. Sad fans today as well. And we've got shot clock reviews, all that still to come. More Zone next.
Patrick Mahomes press conference brought to you by Xfinity Sports Zone. Xfinity Sports Zone, the ultimate sports hub experience, only from Xfinity. By Premier Volvo Cars of Overland Park, the only Volvo dealership in Kansas City, where luxury and safety meet. Premier Volvo Cars of Overland Park at 78th and Metcalf or PremierVolvoCarsOverlandPark.com. And by Westlake Ace Hardware. Visit your local Westlake Ace Hardware today, online at westlakehardware.com. Westlake Ace Hardware. Small projects, big know-how. Ask away.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
This is a guy through the first 3 quarters of the game had a quarterback rating of. Well, now I lost that.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, welcome back here in the Zone right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson, Josh Brisco, Beards, heading up until 2 o'clock. 1 o'clock, Mick Shaffer hangs out with us. Sad fans on Reddit. And then we'll shot clock review, apparently, sad fans on Reddit as well. Hearing from the Chiefs in the previous segment or so. I do want to send a big shout out before we get back into the conversation to Tacos for Life Grill. They came by. Okay, all right. Well, there. All right. Not gonna. Let's go back to break. Let's go back to break because Josh is apparently still eating. Tacos for Life Grill. Go to Tacos for Life. That's the number 4. Tacos number 4 life.com. They've been in Blue Springs off of 7 Highway, and now October got to Overland Park, Blue Valley Parkway, Overland Park. About 119th and 119th and next to the Target. That's what it is.
That's the actual address.
119th. That's Metcalf, I should say. Metcalf and 119th, but next to the Target. Kind of like 123rd. In between 119th and 123rd, so 121st.
And a half.
121st and a
half.
That's the Metcalf. You know, if you're looking from the view, we are right across the street, right over here. But it's an awesome spot because not only the food is good, but it's called Tacos for Life, not just because, they love it and tacos are great, but because every meal that's purchased goes to help meals for children in need. So
Awesome.
It's 1 for 1. So that's why it's Tacos for Life. Is you're buying tacos, you're also helping children in need, and they join together to raise meals for children in need with every meal purchased. So not only good food, but a great cause as well. So new location here in Overland Park. Blue Springs 7 Highway is where they have been before. But
it's really cool. That part in particular, and then I'll talk about how good the food is because that part really comes naturally to me. But you can, again, check it out on the website if you want. Tacos number 4 life.com. For every taco, bowl, salad, quesadilla, or nachos purchased, 24 cents is donated to Feed My Starving Children, their nonprofit partner. They've developed a scientifically formulated packed rice meal that provides children with the nutrients they need to grow strong and healthy. That's something a cause you can support while eating. Drum roll, everybody.
I'm drum rolling. You are.
Excellent tacos.
Oh, nice.
Excellent tacos.
I had the chicken bacon ranch. I had the fried chicken because grilled chicken. Come on, the fried chicken taco.
I went Korean. The Korean beef one, outstanding. Nice. A little fish taco got in there. I love a fish taco, and I love that fish taco.
I heard the Brazil taco was 4 times better than the Korean taco.
That's a World Cup joke. The only thing I want in my cup is more things from tacosforlife.com
and there are
or Tacos for Life. Probably not just online.
Got some cheese dip. We got some
I want some guac. I want the queso's very good. Everything that we've had so far has been excellent. And I'm just trying to figure out what the socially acceptable number of tacos to eat at this point is, because I don't want Mick Shaffer to get any.
Well, I stopped at 2.
So did I.
And not only socially acceptable, but just like I couldn't eat any more.
I am full now.
That's roughly 1.5 more tacos than I would have been expected. I was 1.5 tacos over expected.
See,
in this meal. That's what Tacos for Life gives you is tacos over expected. I'm at 1.5.
And then
based on lunch.
Not even to mention the impact, globally speaking, it even exceeds beyond that. But my TOE, my toe, was probably about 2.8. But I got some of the sides in, and also the tacos were bigger than I expected them to be. So these are luscious tacos.
How many tacos did you have?
I had 2.
So how can you have a 2.8 tacos over expected?
Entering this game, I'm typically about a 2.8.
You're going to give up an 8
expected tacos.
Oh, so you're going to almost have 3 more tacos than expected.
Well, that's true. I guess it is. I might have like a 1.2 TOE then.
All right.
Yeah, if 2 is roughly expected.
Yeah.
5 would be a lot. I'm not a 5 taco guy.
Yeah.
But I could be.
Half a taco is probably expected for me for lunch with the reputation that people make fun of. But I had 2, so that's roughly 1.5 tacos over expected.
You did cut the crusts off, which I thought was weird.
I didn't.
Really
I wanted it to be uncrust.
I'm gonna have
A
a post.
bowl.
I'm gonna have a post game taco. Is what I'm gonna between after the show today. I'll pick a different one.
Yeah, thank you to Tacos for Life.
Yes, very
dropping off some food here, and perfect timing as well, since we could enjoy it while listening to the press conferences. And the Chiefs can clinch the West this weekend. Rams, Dolphins, Chiefs. If they win, the Chiefs are the AFC West champions. Rams and Raiders on Thursday night. Chargers and Dolphins Sunday. Chiefs and Broncos Sunday. So Rams, Dolphins, Chiefs win this weekend. Chiefs are the AFC West champions.
I think the Chiefs can actually clinch regardless of what the Raiders do.
Well, I thought
if they win themselves. If the Chiefs win and the Chargers lose on Sunday Night Football, I think the Chiefs have locked it up.
Well, there would be 4 games remaining, and the Chiefs would be 4 games ahead of the Raiders. So then, if the Raiders win out and the Chiefs lose out,
if the Chiefs win against the Broncos,
there's 4 games left, and there's 4 games ahead of the Raiders.
They would be 10-3. The Raiders could be as good as 5-8. I don't that.
Oh, okay.
The
yeah,
NFL's.
You're right. Yeah.
I'm just remembering what the NFL tweeted out. I'm not doing math because me doing math does not help this show.
The Raiders only have 7 losses. They're 5-7.
The Raiders are 5-7, right?
And so, if the Chiefs and the Raiders both win this weekend, there would be a 4-game difference between the two.
The Chiefs already have they cannot lose the tiebreaker to the Raiders, perhaps.
Right, but if the Raiders beat them, then what goes into division and all of that stuff? I don't.
Conference record.
Maybe there's a well, yeah, after division, but maybe there's a bunch of other stuff I haven't gone that far down. So maybe it is just Dolphins and Chargers and Chiefs. Either way, Chiefs could clinch the West this weekend. If not, they'll clinch it next weekend. So in 2 weeks, you can cash your
Chiefs win, Chargers lost, Chiefs clinch the AFC West.
Okay,
NFL.com.
So it doesn't matter what the Raiders do. Thursday does not matter unless you've got the over/under on Raiders
or
futures.
The alternate over/under line for the Rams that you got somehow. No, I don't think that'll do anything for you.
Or if
unless you're gambling on John Wolford.
Or if you've got the exact order of finish in the AFC West as Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders.
Nobody did that.
I'm going to need the Rams to win because I know the Broncos have 2 more losses on their resume this year. So they're already at 11. I need the Raiders to lose 4 more, really 5 more, because it's not going to happen. All right, we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. We continue rolling more Zone next.
Want to see more of The Zone? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
In 600 career plate appearances.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we'll talk and hang out with Mick Shaffer coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. Sad fans on Reddit, come your way, the 1 o'clock hour. I want to give an update to some of the odds that are out there with the NFL futures. Also, if you just joining us or have not heard, Von Miller officially out for the season with a torn ACL. They did not know the extent of the damage based on the MRI. Sean McDermott said they went in yesterday to have exploratory surgery just to see what was going on there, what the trauma was, what the course of recovery would be. And they found the ACL was torn. They repaired it. He's out for the year. Lamar Jackson has a sprained PCL, roughly 1 to 3 weeks recovery time for that. We'll see when he is back.
Now.
The Zone with Jason Anderson.
I had a buddy that said stuff wrong all the time, and it was like a daily thing.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, we continue on this Wednesday edition of The Zone. One more hour to go, heading up into the program at 2 o'clock. Mick Shaffer hanging out with us, KSHB 41 Sports Director. We got sad fans coming up. Chiefs edition. Shot clock reviews as well, and other things to get into. Andy Reid said that everybody practiced today, or will be practicing today. That includes Kadarius Toney and Joe Thuney. Does not include McCole Hardman. He's on the IR. He is scheduled or eligible to return next week. And Andy Reid said that he lost some weight. He's put it back on. He's now running. He's getting close, and there's a chance he can play next week when he's eligible to return. And was ready to turn the page from the Bengals to the Broncos. In fact, he said we're on to the Broncos a couple of different times. He went Belichick and on to Cincinnati. We're on to Cincinnati. We're on to Cincinnati.
That would have been weird since they just left Cincinnati.
Which means now
we're out of Cincinnati. We're out of Cincinnati. We're out of
done
Cincinnati.
with the Bengals, guys. We're on to Cincinnati.
Which means now
Andy,
the next coach has to have we're done with whoever they're playing next off of a Broncos loss, because the Patriots lost to the Chiefs. They were on to Cincinnati. Chiefs lost to the Bengals. Now they're on to the Broncos. You got to keep it moving forward. So the Broncos have to be the team that wins for a team to then say, we're on to somebody else, just to keep it from Chiefs to Bengals to Broncos.
Who do the Broncos play next?
Chiefs.
After that.
Oh.
Cardinals.
After they lose to the Chiefs. What's Nathaniel Hackett going to say in his last press conference?
Is he serious? I thought you were being a smartass.
He's going to be there.
It's the Broncos the rest of the way have Chiefs, Cardinals, Rams, Chiefs again, and then the Chargers.
We're on to Arizona.
So I think it's a good idea, Jason, that whenever the Broncos beat somebody again in a couple of years, that should be something that the opposing coach has to do.
So the Broncos play who after the Chiefs?
Arizona.
Okay, so then Arizona, if they were to lose that game, would then say, we are on to Tampa. We're on to Tampa. All right, we're done talking about Denver. We're on to Tampa. Okay?
Now, it's almost full circle because it's back to a Tom Brady team.
See, there you go. That would be full circle. So Broncos have to beat the Cardinals, and people have to keep asking Cliff Kingsbury, how'd you lose this scrub team? What are you doing? They're terribly coached. They're not well coached. We heard Andy Reid said that, and everybody laughed. It was a fun joke. Even he chuckled a little bit underneath his mustache. The mustache quivered. It was an Andy Reid joke. Everybody knew he was just kidding around. He said they were well coached. Of course, he went right into talking about their defense. Well, it's a good defense. This team, good defense. Really good defense. Really good defense.
Fingertip away from having a good offense.
They are.
Fingertip.
Mm-hmm. Just a fingertip here or there, and that would make up for 6 losses. Or 9.
Broncos at Rams, Christmas Day, 3:30. Is there anything in the world you'd less rather be doing?
It's a great...
Will there be people in that stadium?
Watching basketball.
It's a great thing for, families to kind of bring them together to, turn the TV off and spend some time
that is exactly
around the tree. Sharing some.
What's the game we could put on Christmas Day that people will be able to just look at and go, okay, well,
Broncos,
when can we
Rams.
eat? When are we going to eat? I guess
Mick, that's such a good point. So the Christmas slate is Packers at Dolphins at noon.
Mm-hmm.
Could be kind of fun. At least the Dolphins are interesting still. Broncos at Rams, 3:30. Buccaneers at Cardinals, Sunday Night Football. You can put that on in the background, if you'd like to just see some teams wearing red in the NFC. But Broncos, Rams, 3:30. We're all getting together. We're just going through some family photos. We're sharing memories.
3:30 or so?
Let's say 3:30, yeah.
And we could eat again at 7.
Yeah, that's right. It's not good timing for the Chiefs and Seahawks because that being a noon game of when we'll be doing our Christmas stuff on Christmas Eve at the in-laws, and then gift exchange and stuff. Typically we do that around 4. And I said, so the Chiefs game won't be over till 4:15. It's Eastern time. So it won't be over till 4. So I don't think that's going to work. And she's like, well, I'm like, but here's the thing. I won't be alone. You see your brother, who's a diehard Bengals fan, they also play at 1. and they've got a bigger game than the Chiefs do with the Seahawks. So he's probably not going to want to go away from the TV of Bengals in New England.
Bills?
Bengals Patriots in New England. I don't think he's going to want. I think I'm good on this one.
Hey.
I think I'm okay not being the person that's, well, we can't do it because Jason's watching the Chiefs. No, Clint's watching the Bengals, damn it. Okay? Jason's watching the Chiefs on his phone in the guest bedroom. Clint's the one hogging the big TV in the Bengals. I ain't watching it with him. Bleep that guy.
You just turn into Adam Sandler?
And his Bengals love. I'll take a baseball bat to his knee if I got to watch a Bengals game next to him. Punk.
Beard, do you want to spend Christmas Eve together?
I'll be watching NBA.
Maybe about 6 hours or so?
I'm just excited that they don't have to change their schedule around me. That it's like, no, him. It's a big part. That's 2/3 of the families that aren't going to be. It's 3 families here. You know, you got your brother, your sister, and us. It's 3 families with kids coming together to exchange, and you got 2 of them that are like, yeah, let's not start yet. Let's hold off. 4:30 sounds like a really, unless there's overtime. 4:30, tentatively 5. You know, let's go. And if both teams lose, maybe like 6. We need a cooling off period. So both of us do. Yeah, so you're right, but maybe we should just move it to Christmas right in the middle of the Broncos game because nobody cares.
No. Keep it on Christmas Eve, please. The Chiefs?
No. He's saying move their festivities.
Our festivities to Christmas.
Yeah, no.
Just
Christmas
right at the Broncos game, and therefore nobody cares. And then all day Saturday, you know, we can enjoy football, watching all the games Saturday because that's the huge slate is Christmas Eve.
Oh, also Christmas Eve night game, Raiders Steelers.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, there was a thought.
A lot of excuses to spend some time with family this year. That's beautiful.
There was a thought of what this season was going to look like around week.
Right.
What is this? Week 14?
Something like that.
Yeah, week 14.
Yeah. All those
because Chiefs
primetime games should have flex scheduling.
Next year, Monday Night Football gets
Monday
it.
will.
Yep.
Chiefs Broncos was going to be Sunday night. Like there was a different expectation of where we would be around this time towards the end of the year with what they put on Christmas Eve night in Raiders and Steelers, and then those 3 games the next day. Oh,
guys, I have some horrible news. The NFL got 3 in a row. Christmas Eve, Raiders, Steelers, prime time.
Yeah.
Christmas night, Buccaneers, Cardinals, prime time.
Yeah.
December 26th, Monday Night Football, Chargers, Colts, prime time.
Bring it.
Ho-ho!
That's Manning cast if there ever was a Manning cast. If I'm going to spend time on this, if I'm spending time on that Monday watching football, it'll be Manning cast with Chargers and Colts playing each other. It's the only thing I watched on Monday night for Saints and Bucks was Manning cast.
Are they on that night?
They were on.
They
yeah.
were, yeah.
They
I don't know that they will be
will
here.
They be on the
day after Christmas? My guess is no, but it's a Colts game.
The Colts, so which wins out?
Yeah,
it's his buddy Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, they got it. When the Colts don't play on Monday night again, right? That's the only Monday night game for the Colts this year, especially considering, you know, why would they have 2 in the last 6 weeks of the year? 5 weeks of the year?
No, sorry guys, the Mannings went ahead and said we're not going to work the day after Christmas.
Dang it. How lazy are they?
Yeah.
You want to talk about work ethic? I've never found that with the Mannings.
Yeah, Manning
never
family.
Thought either of the
famously
Mannings
lazy.
or any of the Mannings had a real work ethic. And it worries me about Arch Manning because I just think he's going to be a flash in the pan high school kid that just never, you know, is going to work.
I don't even think he's a quarterback. I think he's a safety.
His uncles. So
I see a great work ethic on the commercials they do, which is like every other one. The whole family's in them now. Everybody knows about Cooper Manning.
Yeah.
You know?
I did enjoy it, since you didn't watch on Monday night, the My Cause, My Cleats. So they both did My Cause, My Cleats, but they didn't tell anybody they were doing that. And so they have in front of their screen, they have like artificial turf at their house in their basement when they're doing the Manning cast. So when they go over and do like the clicker or whatever, they have like a little field turf there. And it shows the full view, and Peyton's doing that, and Peyton's wearing cleats. And people are like, Peyton's really getting into it. He's wearing his cleats. And so then they saw the tweets, and I think it was all planned. Hey, we'll get tweets about this, and then that'll give us an organic way into talking about my. So that's what it is. Like, Peyton, you're wearing cleats. And then he's like, oh, yeah, we're doing my. So then Eli had his. And it's a really cool story that Peyton's cleats were at, I guess he has a children's hospital. Not sure, but maybe a wing of a children's hospital. But he was like Peyton Manning, the children's hospital, that my cleats were designed by, and then it was like 6 or 7 kids that did like a different design, and then he went and had the designs put on the cleats. So that was pretty cool that his cleats were, you know, little children's drawings on it. So that was cool. But yes, they were wearing cleats, and because I noticed it, I'm like, wow, they're really getting into this. They're wearing cleats now. Every once in a while, they put helmets on. So it was way more entertaining than Saints and Bucks.
Tweets about the cleats. No, I like it. I love that show. I watch it over whenever it's on. I watch it over the regular broadcast of Monday Night Football. They just need to figure out the delay, and they're talking over each other, and they'll stop. We'll stop at the same time.
It's unlistenable when guys are talking over each other.
I agree with that.
It makes a bad. It's for a bad program.
TV, I know it's a tough deal, but
it has to frustrate you so much.
Radio's the worst.
But then sometimes everybody stops.
No, you go. No, you hang up.
And then they pick back up at the same time?
Yeah. I think they've gotten better at that. I think they have gotten better at just as this show has eventually gotten better at talking over each other.
The technology needs to be better, honestly, or just get them in the same room so they're at least, hearing each other in real time.
They don't live in the same city, though.
But
so
you know what? It's a big deal. Fly them.
That's right.
Fly them somewhere.
Hey, you know who else doesn't live in the same city? Joe Buck and Troy Aikman.
Yes. Good call.
Yeah. But they've got to be on site because they're doing play-by-play of that. I mean, they're just interviewing
You don't have
guests.
to be on site anymore to do play-by-play.
That is a
Check
good
out like
point.
half the college basketball games you watch.
Will the college basketball group be on ESPN be on site in Columbia, or is that going to be an off-site?
I think you got to be on site for that one. That's
ESPN.
CBS?
ESPN. 4:15.
Yep.
4:15 on Saturday. Ken Palm, a 3-point game. Last week it was
Zuka
1.
Score, boys.
Last week it was 1. So now it's 3. This is the 4th, according to Ken Palm, the 4th best team Kansas has played is Mizzou this year. Would be the 4th best. And then my buddy texted me the other day. He goes, hey, is Mizzou for real? I'm like, ask me January 4th. Because in the next starting Saturday until January 4th, Mizzou plays 5 games, 4 of them against Ken Palm top 17 teams. 4 of the 5.
That Kentucky bowl record game.
That's right. You got 2 home games, a road game, and a neutral site game in the next 5 games for Mizzou, 4 of them against Ken Palm top 20. We'll find out if they're for real or not. If they're sitting 8-5, they were frauds. It was a good schedule to get them confidence. They win a couple of those, and it's like, okay, yeah, it could be a tournament team. So we'll see. Yeah, but I doubt that crew is going to be traveling there. But I think it's just fine. I like seeing the basement or the man cave of the Mannings. I like to see what millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars can buy you.
And they have great guests.
Yeah.
4 of them every week. That the president on.
Yeah.
Several
Randy
weeks
Moss.
ago.
They had Randy Moss
Former
on.
President Barack Obama.
Randy Moss, Jarvis Landry. So it was the play where Andy Dalton throws it. Jarvis is open for a touchdown. It's just a little bit out of his reach for maybe 2 hands, and Jarvis reaches up with 1 hand, pulls it down. His right hand doesn't secure it, and he drops it. And it's a touchdown. And they both, all 3 of them, jump up as Randy goes, "Oh, juice! 2 hands until you get to 2 Pro Bowls."
That's a great line.
They're like, he's been to 5. Because I had to look it up. I'm like, Jarvis Landry, he's been to 5, Randy. 2 hands till you get to 2 Pro Bowls. I bet that's probably a line he's used a lot.
I had a line that someone said to him
until
once.
you get to 2 Pro Bowls.
Somebody told him that in year 2,
and then he was like, "No, I don't need 2 hands. I'm ready. Have you seen the one-handed catch?"
Well, then he
immediately
made another Pro Bowl.
Maybe 4 or 5 Pro Bowls now. Pro Bowls are easy to make it to for these guys. With guys backing out, you're an alternate. You end up playing.
I've made 1 Pro Bowl.
As an alternate.
Still got to use 2 hands. But, I mean, yes, I didn't win the fan vote. But
See, we always say to the kids when they drop a fly ball, like, hey, 2 hands while you're learning. So, come on, you still haven't learned how to catch the ball. 2 hands while you're learning. You're not Amos Otis out there. You know what? The kids that were coached, they don't get that reference. I say, what are you, Amos Otis? Right, guy?
Jason, did you say Jarvis Landry's been to 4 Pro Bowls?
5, right?
5? Do you guys want to guess how many Randy Moss has been to? If you just saw him, keep it to yourself.
No, I would say 9.
What do you think, Jason?
I'm going to say 4, 5, 6, 3.
It's either something really high or really low.
9.
Beards?
Never made one.
It's amazing, crazy.
12.
Jarvis Landry's made 5 Pro Bowls. Randy Moss made 6.
Yeah, take that, Randy.
What
Is that how many?
What happened?
Are they counting the ones where he backed out of, didn't want to play? Do you count that as a Pro
He's
Bowl
got
appearance?
4 All-Pros and 6 Pro Bowls, which seems very low.
It's like, was it Mitchell Schwartz? That was all pro but couldn't make a Pro Bowl?
Yeah.
Yep.
That seems odd.
I think Honey Badger was like that too, right? Tyrann Mathieu has more All-Pro selections than Pro Bowls.
So, Pro Bowler his first 3 years. 4th year, he was not.
He had 8 seasons over 1,200 yards and 10 over 1,000.
So
It's just ridiculous.
And only 6 Pro Bowls.
He didn't make the Pro Bowl in 2001. He played every game. He had 82 catches, 1,200 yards, and 10 touchdowns.
Only 10
and
touchdowns.
he had already been to 3 Pro Bowls, so it wasn't like, well, it's his first one. We'll see if he gets in. He made the Pro Bowl the next 2, and then he only made 1 more the rest of his career. So that was when he went last year in Minnesota.
And again, are they maybe
Oakland,
not
New England.
counting? Are they maybe not counting the ones where he couldn't make it? Maybe he's injured or he just didn't want to play.
It's a good question.
I don't think so because you still get like the contract incentives and stuff for that.
But
so
in 2009, he led the NFL in touchdown receptions, and he didn't make the Pro Bowl.
that was the end of that was the end of the New England run. Maybe a little
Yeah.
fatigue from the voting process.
I guess that seems
really silly. I thought it might be
really
double
odd.
digits. I really did.
Yes.
I thought it might have been approaching 10 at least.
So I said I wanted to give an update to you guys and have you guys guess on where the odds are for the different awards and futures for the NFL. Most valuable player, number 1 is Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, Jalen Hurts. Is now a 2-horse race. Last week, Mahomes was minus 190. He's now plus 125, and Hurts is plus 175. It's a 2-horse race.
That feels about right.
Burrow's plus 600. He's now 3rd. Offensive player of the year, still Tyreek Hill. Jalen Hurts is now 2nd. Because if you're not going to win the MVP, you got to win Offensive Player of the Year because clearly you need 2 different quarterbacks to win an award that would be different but sort of the same thing. Whatever. Then Justin Jefferson, then Patrick Mahomes. 5th betting favorite is Travis Kelce. Now, Defensive Player of the Year is really interesting because Micah Parsons was minus 1,200 a couple of weeks ago.
No way.
He's now only minus 450. Only minus 450. Do you know who the next 2 in the odds are for Defensive Player of the Year?
I
Chris
do
Jones
because you
up
told
there?
me earlier. So I'll let Nick.
Chris Jones moved up to 3rd. Micah Parsons, Nick Bosa's plus 250, and then Chris Jones. Off a week in which he didn't do anything, but then again, Max Crosby and Matthew Judon, did they do anything either? I can tell you Crosby did not have a sack. He did have a forced fumble, though. Offensive Rookie of the Year, who do you guys think it is?
Offensive.
Oh, that's kind of fun. It's not
I'm
a quarterback.
And I'm going to do Defensive Rookie of the Year and Comeback Player of the Year as well, as to who the
Is it
leaders
cheating if I crack open a quick NFL draft, a little draft list or anything?
No, not at all. No, you can look at
because it's
Is it one of
almost
those
always a
receivers?
quarterback, and so I think this year it's probably a receiver. But Drake London was the first receiver taken.
I will tell you,
he hasn't done anything.
I will tell you, the Chiefs play the leader in the clubhouse right now for. It's very close though. There are 3 guys that are sort of right around each
Garrett
other.
Wilson might be around there, but I bet he's not number 1.
He's in the top 4.
They play them in the future here?
The Chiefs play them this year.
I don't even think it's going to be a first rounder then, because again, it's not going to be Drake London. It's not Jameson Williams. Chris Olave might be up there.
It's not. Olave is 4th. He's behind Garrett Wilson. Or Garrett Wilson. It's not a first rounder. You're right.
Sky Moore.
Oddly enough, yes, Sky Moore. He has skyrocketed all the way up to.
Breece Hall got hurt. I mean,
actually,
he could have been in there.
George Pickens does have a number next to his name.
Yeah.
So I mean, Pickens is and by the way, Pacheco is the 6th betting favorite. So he's moved all the way up to number 6.
Good Lord, yeah, that's funny.
And he's not out of it, by the way.
Seahawks?
Huh?
Similar to the Seahawks?
Yep.
Who
You're
is it?
there.
Oh, it's Charles Cross?
Nope. It's Kenneth Walker, running back.
Running back. I was
So
thinking
he's
receiver the whole time.
He's number
Charles
1.
Cross was a top
He's plus
pick,
200, but the person behind him plus 225, like right there. So you're missing a name. He has taken the NFL by storm over the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Oh, Christian Watson. He did it all in 3 weeks or something.
Christian Watson is
God,
now
that's
plus
unbelievable.
225.
It was like literally a month ago. It was Aaron Rodgers might retire because all his weapons are so sorry, and now Christian Watson can't stop scoring
Has
touchdowns.
like 10 touchdowns. Pacheco at plus 2,200. I mean, as much as Christian Watson went from 3 weeks to now, I mean, Pacheco's got a shot because Kenneth Walker isn't out there putting up 150-yard games and 2 touchdowns. Watson, if he stops scoring touchdowns, Wilson's got Mike White throwing to him, and Olave's got Andy Dalton throwing to him. Like, we'll see. Brian Robinson is right in front of Pacheco.
Just for the game, is what's Kenny Pickett at? He's got to be the only quarterback on the list.
Kenny Pickett is right behind Pacheco. So the ones that at DraftKings that are actually that have odds next to him. Number 1, Kenneth Walker. Number 2, Christian Watson, and Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Brian Robinson Jr., Isaiah Pacheco, Kenny Pickett, Damian Pierce, who they'll see, Houston Texans, George Pickens, Rashad White, hey, local, and Treylon Burks is plus 10,000.
Not a wickedly impactful rookie class this year.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. Again, Jameson Williams is a weird one because he wasn't going to play, and then they found whatever his
second rounder,
medical issue was,
first rounder. Brian Robinson was a third rounder, I think. Pacheco 7th, Pickett 1st, Pierce. Was he late or undrafted?
Sorry, who? Damian Pierce. He was. I think he was a 6th.
Yeah. Pickens 2nd rounder.
Damian Pierce was actually the 2nd pick of the 4th round. So
wow.
still a
Never mind.
day 3 pick.
Rashad White I should know if he was drafted. He went to center. I should know that, but
late 3rd.
Late 3rd. Okay, there you go. And then Treylon Burks, 1st rounder. Defensive Rookie of the Year. There's a heavy favorite in Defensive Rookie of the Year.
I think Aiden Hutchinson has gotten up there, but
He's
it's gonna
third.
but it's gonna be
He's 3rd, but it's a heavy favorite.
Sauce Gardner.
It's Sauce.
Yeah.
Sauce Gardner is minus 500. Tariq Woolen is plus 450. Hutchinson plus 800. And then Karlaftis is he is up there though.
He's out there.
Jack Jones, who I'm not sure who that is. Kayvon Thibodeau, Kyle Hamilton, Jaquan Brisker, George Karlaftis, Trayvon Walker, the number 1 pick, Kobe Bryant, COBY, Sam Williams, and Roger McCreary. So a lot of those names I'm not really honestly familiar with.
I'm gonna see if I can find opening year odds because I just
great.
can't remember. I can't imagine most of these
Let
guys
me tell you,
were.
there's a
on this
scratch
sheet
piece of
here.
paper somewhere down on my desk that has that because I did keep track of that.
It would literally be death by 1,000 paper cuts. I would perish down there.
Comeback Player of the Year, heavy favorite. Pretty much already been
Geno,
won.
baby.
Geno's already won it. He's minus 900. Coach of the Year. I think has already won it as well. He's minus 175. Coach of the Year.
Is that Pete Carroll?
It is not.
I think Pete Carroll deserves.
It's an NFC team.
Oh,
Giants?
Well, he would have been the favorite
Close.
for a little bit,
Close.
but it's Nick Sirianni.
Sirianni.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. Sirianni is first. Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings, plus 400. Robert Saleh, plus 1,000. Mike McDaniel is 4th. Mike McCarthy with the Cowboys is 5th.
Pete Carroll's below Mike McCarthy?
Brian Dable is 6th. Pete Carroll 7th.
No respect.
Shanahan 8th. Sean McDermott 9th. Mike Vrabel 10th. Andy Reid 11th. Right in front of Ron Rivera. By the way, Zach Taylor is way down there.
So Nick Sirianni is the heavy favorite after basically locking up the NFC. The Chiefs could still definitely be the 1 seed in the AFC, and Andy Reid is 11th.
And then Zach Taylor, John Harbaugh, Bill Belichick. Somehow, you could place money on his plus 15,000.
It may eventually literally be named the Bill Belichick Coach of the Year award. So I guess that's why you stay on the list.
I'm fine with Sirianni or even Kevin O'Connell because I forget about the Vikings so often.
Yep.
And they've had a damn fine season. And the second best record in the NFC, and they've wrapped up their division. And, he's doing that with Kirk Cousins. And Nick Sirianni going from laughing stock of an introductory press conference of, there's, what was the word he used a lot? It was...
I remember it being super cringy, but can't remember what it was.
It wasn't process, but it was, we're gonna use this. We're gonna have this. We're gonna have... there's going to be things in place, and I just can't remember what he said, but
find it for us.
Everybody kept making fun of him. Now it's been a damn fine coach. So there you go. Those are the updates. 2-horse race now. I thought Mahomes had already wrapped up the MVP, but when you have a game like that against the Bengals and Jalen Hurts has 4 touchdowns and 400 plus yards against the Titans in an absolute dominant blowout that gets the GM fired 2 days later, the other team, he's right back in it. All right, we'll hear sad fans on Reddit. Sad fans on Reddit coming up next.
Follow the show on Twitter at J810Anderson, at JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, and at Sports Radio 810. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
Nice job, Josh.
Nice job, Dylan.
Nice job, Christopher. Way to go, Beards.
Thank you.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
All right, another shout out to Tacos for Life. Tacos, spelled traditionally, TACOS, the number 4, life.com, tacos4life.com. Not only because they are good, fantastic tacos, but for every taco that is purchased, 29 cents goes to feed hungry children. So that's why it's Tacos for Life, is that they are joining together to raise meals for children in need with every meal purchased. They've been in Blue Springs, 7 Highway. Now they are in Overland Park, Blue Valley Parkway. Since October, I think, is when they opened up there. So
Mick housed one. You and I each had a couple.
Tacos for Mick.
Tacos, the number 4, MICK.
Tacos for Zone. Nice.
All right. I would talk about them every day if they wanted to just make it Tacos for Zone.
Let's hear sad fans.
Oh God, I'm not sure I'm ready.
On Reddit.
The Chiefs, right?
Beards, do you need to set any of this up? We don't do a lot of sad Chiefs fans because they don't lose that much.
No, they don't. But we can't just completely pick on the opposing. We have to be able to make fun of ourselves.
But real quick, I want to make it even. I want to make it even worse, just for a brief second.
Excellent.
Story of your life.
Sure.
Beards. You were lamenting on Monday the gold that will never see the light of day from Bengals fans.
Yep.
Right? That was me making it worse, is because there were so many posts
that
good stuff. Beards deleted that we won't hear because the wrong team won. Either way, let's get to sad fans on Reddit.
And now, a list of things that Kansas City Chiefs fans said on Reddit. Oh, that beautiful 28th ranked defense doing what they do best. To be fair, we kicked the Bengals the first half of the other 2 games. Maybe if we get our kicked in instead, we'll win? Something Frank Clark. I'm glad we had defensive players talk smack. Way to back it up. They have the worst line until they play us. Well, a duck. Can our team focus on football instead of getting chippy after a field goal? I elect we quit moving the ball at the 21 and attempt to score from there. Trade touchdowns for field goals. Are we back to the Alex Smith play calling? They really want this trash City team to win. Don't worry, guys. The NFL subreddit said the Chiefs get all the calls. Better get your heads out of your asses. Gotta really respect the refs on that drive. They wouldn't be denied. Our famous bend, then break defense. So you can't touch Chase, but he can full-on push off. Okay. Draw runs from the shotgun is not what my heart needed right now. Keep it in your pants, refs. How about we all turn off the TV and maybe they won't rig this sucker so badly after the ratings go down. LOL, the ref loves saying penalty on Kansas City and not the offense. KC and an ineligible man downfield. Name a better combo. My mental health suffers when the defense is on the field. I thought the Bengals line was supposed to be ass. Remind me what the point of Zone D is, other than giving the Bengals a wide open receiver every play? Who day? Cincy, we're not original, so we have to take a spin on the Saints phrase. Kelsey was stalled for 5 seconds. F off so hard. I want to stab something orange and black, but the family has hidden all the knives. What do? Can we please get pressure against their god-awful dog offensive line? For sake. Ugh, I've had to poop since halftime. Suffering hard right now. All the media guys seem so excited when Kansas City loses. I think Boomer Esiason had to change his drawers on the postgame show. I, for one, thank Orlando Brown Jr. for betting on himself. Saved us a lot of money in the future. Hey, at least we never have to play the Bengals in 2022 again. Maybe 2023 will be our year. Okay, just here to say I respect good teams and respected the Bengals for being legitimately good enough to beat Kansas City multiple times. But faking an injury on an injury-prone league riddled with injury controversy is lower than lows. Hate the Bungos now. Sorry. I have become saddened. So, if we can't beat the Bengals, and the Bengals can't beat the Browns, are the Browns the best team? I loathe playing against the Bengals just because I know the refs will suck their the entire game.
Tail.
Pathetic.
Tail is what I meant.
Apparently,
Like
you're just allowed to fake an injury. Absolute. I was told the Bengals' offensive line was garbage, but sure looked good today. Such an annoying loss. Again. For the third time. Prediction for next week. Chiefs win, but allow Denver to score their most points of the season. Orlando Brown and being ass. Name a better duo. Nothing good ever happens when Zane Anderson is on the active roster. This must be what it's like to be the Chargers. Chiefs can't beat the Bengals, but Bengals can't beat anyone in the Super Bowl, so we're still good. At least we still have burnt ends and not ground beef and ketchup on top of spaghetti. Time to go watch Super Bowl 54 highlights. Sad face emoji. Silver lining. We can never lose to Cincy in 2022 ever again. Always fun when the entire team sucked ass. Can we give Cincy OBJ as a Christmas present? And Wiley while we're at it? And now, the runner-up. It's my birthday today. And now I feel like absolute... Yay, sports! And now, the winner of things that Chiefs fans said on Reddit. Patrick Mahomes and Isaiah Pacheco. You can have my babies. Travis Kelce, shake it off. You had a bad day, but it'll get better. Our defense's tackling skill, though. Our defense is like a focus. Justin Reid for talking a bunch of Jamar Chase and fake injury bango theatrics. Tony Romo, the refs, the Raiders, aside from today's win over the Chargers.
Random.
And Skyline Chili.
That last part is true. There's always got to be one or two of the name a better combo or name a better duo.
That's the popular one.
Yes. Always has to
It's
be.
always a guy and then some sort of sucking.
Yes. Always one of those. That sucks.
A lot of ass in that one, Beards.
Chiefs fans sound just like all the other fans.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just everybody on Reddit is like that.
What I did like
For
the
all
one where it
things.
said, I was told on NFL Reddit that the Chiefs get all the calls.
The
It
way
was
it
great
goes.
because
That's been a popular one lately. I've heard that.
That
a couple
is-
well,
times.
it's been a popular one. Like on Twitter, it's like, oh, the Chiefs always get the calls. Chiefs get so many calls, and oh my God, I'm tired of the NFL bowing to Patrick Mahomes to make sure they win. And then, of course, when you watch it from the perspective of the Chiefs, it's like
Can't get a call.
phantom pass interference. Tyler Boyd drops a touchdown on an obvious offensive pass interference pick play that isn't called. Stallworth committed a roughing the passer, which wasn't roughing the passer, but then he got cut.
Jamar Chase can't help himself but shove people.
Yeah. I mean,
The
Chiefs are
illegal
getting,
man downfield stuff is getting pretty ridiculous. We talked about it on Sunday night.
Yeah.
The way they're calling that, I don't think is in the spirit of the rules.
So the illegal man downfield, I'm still not clear on this. Is it doesn't matter if you get back into within 1 yard
I don't
when the
think so. I
ball is
think it's like
released,
offsides
or if
in soccer.
you run down and then run back. If you were 5 yards downfield, it doesn't matter if you were back behind the line of scrimmage. Or not.
Supposedly, okay, the rule, well, not supposedly, but the rule is you can't be a yard downfield in the NFL. It's like 3 yards.
More than a yard.
More than a yard
So,
downfield. And it's 3 yards in college, which I think is way more fair. Unless you are engaged in a block, right, that you started
Yeah, that's a
prior
good point.
to.
Because if you blow the guy off the line
It
there,
looked
and
like
just
Allegretti,
run
because
him
the
down
one where it's
6 yards.
Allegretti and Wiley. Allegretti was engaged when he passed it, and then Wiley was like 2 yards past and then came back. But I feel like the spirit of the rule is like, okay, you can't take off and block somebody in the second level. You can't block a linebacker 5 yards downfield. You can't try to go get on a safety before the ball is passed 10 yards downfield, right? This is every time it's been. I mean, the one where there was the 2 on the Chiefs, they were still providing a pocket for Mahomes, and he stepped up a little bit.
That's why I was confused on the rule of how it's enforced with doesn't matter if you get back to the line of scrimmage or not or back within 1 yard, because when Mahomes threw the ball, Wiley was actually back right at the line of scrimmage. By the time when Mahomes was throwing the ball, Wiley was back where you started. Allegretti was 3 yards down the field, but was then backpedaling
after he had engaged in a block with a defensive lineman. I mean, these are
back,
guys all up front. It's not like, I mean, I've always thought that the spirit of the world is like, okay, you can't go block downfield these guys who are supposed to be covering receivers.
Yeah,
right.
And he was backpedaling towards the line of scrimmage when Mahomes threw the ball, so he was about 2.5 yards downfield when the ball was released, and Wiley was back at the line of scrimmage. But if it's both, Wiley was 5 yards downfield when he turned around and ran back because he saw where he was, like, oh, whoops, let me run back on side. And
it seems like it shouldn't be one of those rules that is the letter of the law, right? You don't call holding the letter of the law. This one shouldn't be like, okay, they're clearly the pocket has moved up 1.5 yards because the quarterback scrambled up and they're still blocking their primary defenders who started on the defensive line.
Right. If you're blocking a person that started on the line with you and you just won too hard, that should not be a penalty.
And I think a couple times they've called it where it's like, oh, this guy's engaged, right? He's blown him back. Yeah. He's engaged.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's, they know the rule. So they were aware of it because they were trying to get back on to. But I mean, if you're trying to get back, then that would say that it doesn't matter if
I don't think it does matter
when he throws the ball, because what's the point of trying to get back if you're unless you just want to.
I don't think it's like
get away with
offsides.
it.
Neutral zone, I get back for the snap.
Yeah. I don't know. Should be. Even if it's not, it should be. But there's the rule. Was that a name a better combo? Was Chiefs and illegal man downfield name a better duo or whatever?
Yeah,
it was one of those. Yeah. So
one of them.
On to Denver. Ready for the Broncos. Well-coached team.
I'm not on to Denver yet.
It's a well-coached team.
It doesn't matter if I'm ready or not. I got to be ready by the post-game show.
That is true.
Right now, I'm still in Bengal mode.
Yep.
And I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it here.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather be in Denver than in Bengal mode.
Tony's back at practice. Tony and Tooney. They're back. That'll help. Do the Chiefs, as one of the Reddit commenters said, the Broncos will score the most points they've scored all year. Do the Chiefs give up more than 23?
I was going to say, what is
are
this?
Are we doing in regulation or overall? Because
23.
That's different.
They lost 32-23 to the Raiders. That's their season high. 16, 16, 11,
I think that
23.
was in overtime as well, wasn't it?
No.
That wasn't?
The 12-9 loss to the Colts was in overtime. The 19-16 loss to the Chargers was in overtime. The 22-16 loss to the Raiders was in overtime. But
I think they will score the most points they've scored all
16,
season.
16, 11, 23, 9, 16, 9, 21, 10, 16, 10, 9. They have not
just a firecracker on
10,
offense.
16, 10, 9. I think the final's 27-10. I think this is a
32-24.
Really?
That would if I said they're going to score more than they have.
I know, but
it's got to be over 23.
Listen, this might be the game to go 3-2.
You should, Beards. This is the one.
Yeah, I'm taking Chiefs minus the points and the under on the total. I'll take the Chiefs minus.
So 3-2, and the Chiefs defense throws a shutout then.
And they take a safety at the end just because it makes sense score-wise of we're at the 1 yard line, up 3-0, and there's 1 second left. Just take a safety.
So the Broncos, let's go back to when the Broncos scored 23 points. We're not going to have time for shot clock reviews probably regardless today.
No, we're
right?
reviewing the Broncos offense.
So yeah,
it's
so
a
here,
1.
this is a 1 out of 10.
There we go.
So on the Broncos scoring drives, they had a touchdown drive on a drive that was 4 plays, 34 yards because they started deep in Raiders territory after
I'm guessing the
a great
34-yard
punt
line.
return. Yeah, fair. That's a fair one. Thank you. They had a fumble return touchdown in that game that they then followed by a 5-play, 75-yard drive with a couple of several big chunk plays on that one. That's an authentic, real drive there. And then it was touchdown defensively, touchdown offensively, then punt. Touchdown on another 75-yard drive. So
long drives.
They had a couple of good, legit drives in that game, and that was the barn burner where they scored 23 points and lost.
They did beat Jacksonville 21-17, though. That's 3 touchdowns.
If they score 3 offensive touchdowns against the Chiefs, I'm going to be in a bad mood on
Why
Monday.
do you think that's so ridiculous?
Because I've watched the Broncos play football this year.
You watched the Chiefs play football?
Yeah.
I have, and they're better. Much better.
Last couple games you've watched them?
Much better.
I think they will frustrate Russell Wilson a lot more successfully than they frustrated Joe Burrow.
What's the spread?
9.5 now. It was 9.5, dropped to 9, now back to 9.5.
My 32-24 score makes sense then.
Yeah, that's I'm going with Chiefs 27-10. Cover the spread, under the total.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah, I hope it's
Broncos
just
always play them tough.
They do. They do, but
everybody always plays the Chiefs tough.
That's it, right? I mean,
this Broncos team sucks.
It's really hard to watch football.
This has Chiefs get an early lead, and Andy Reid takes the foot off the gas and just coasts to a 27-10 win.
They never coast after they take the foot off the gas.
That's
They
true.
always let it back to a one-score game. Come on. I mean, this has gigantic mistakes on special teams written all over. Why is it the
that's
matchup? No,
good.
because the Chiefs are playing, okay?
This feels like it might be like 17-16. I think low scoring then, but stressful.
Stop. No, Rams was 26-10. Rams was sort of like that. This
that
game
was
just,
not that. The score did not reflect how Chiefs fans felt after that one.
No, Chiefs fans, because they didn't get in the end zone at the end there, the last 3 drives. But
few
it was
drives, yeah.
Yeah, the last 3 drives they didn't get in the end zone, but it was like,
And
never
isn't the
in
Broncos
doubt.
defense supposed to be better than the Rams?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Rams defense is still pretty all right, but the Broncos defense is definitely better. Although the Rams had the better quarterback.
2 more minutes, and I'm going to pick the Broncos here. You guys better go to break.
We'll take
You're
a time
swinging
out.
me the other way.
We'll take a timeout. We'll come back and we'll hear why the Broncos are going to win from Mick Shaffer next.
Take the show with you by listening live on 810WHB.com, in the 810 mobile app, or by subscribing to The Zone wherever you get your podcasts. The Zone with Jason Anderson.
You know, there's a player on the Royals currently that whose final 44 games of 2018 was a 262 batting average, 353 on base, 597 slug, and 950 OPS with 12 home runs, 30 RBIs, another 10 doubles, 2 triples. And that guy's name is Ryan O'Hearn.
I'm going to pretend I heard all those numbers.
Weekdays from 10 to 2 on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Oh, we played a clip of Matt Quattrero talking about Ryan O'Hearn earlier. If you're into that Ryan O'Hearn stuff.
I listened to that last night. Did you see the, I'm going to say it anyway, juxtaposition? I don't know if it makes sense, of Aaron Boone on one side of the room and Matt Quattrero on the other.
Yes.
And it's literally 75 guys talking to Aaron Boone and like 5 to 7 guys talking to Quattrero.
Yes. Well, for the Royals diehards out there that really loved the Ryan O'Hearn signing, there was at least one reporter at Beards who brought up to Matt Quattrero the Ryan O'Hearn signing and what a guy like that, and specifically O'Hearn, what his role will be with Matt Quattrero as a manager in 2023. Let's all listen in.
I can speak to the roster more as a whole, and I think what we're going to try to do is use the entire roster. I think we're going to try to put guys in positions to where it's an advantageous matchup for them, use off days judiciously to help guys get rest and stay fresh, and plug guys in and kind of use them on more of a fluid rotation. So I would anticipate him getting more at-bats than he probably had last year, and being a big part of the team, whether it be off the bench or in advantageous matchups, you know, on any given night.
Hey, Matt, really good opening press conference. Here's let me give you a rundown as how you can quickly fall out of favor with Royals fans. What do you think about Ryan O'Hearn and his role last year and this year? I'd expect him to get more at-bats this year. Okay, well, the equity you built up, you just took out a second mortgage. Okay, so now you're back to school.
At least this new guard won't re-sign Adalberto Montes.
Oh,
wait.
No. But you know what?
The old guard's out.
Play the
O'Hearn and Mondesi are back.
Play the Matt Quattrero asked about, not Mondesi specifically, but shortstops and your potentially superstar player Bobby Witt, and natural position or third. Asked Matt Quattrero, what position is Bobby Witt playing in the future?
I think the big thing is what's best for him as a young player and his development, and I think everyone understands that he's a premier athlete that can possibly play a premier position. So I think we're going to give him every chance we can to hopefully play short and really improve, because I think that's where he wants to be, and that's a big part of it, is his desire to be really good at it.
The manager says going to give him every chance to play short. He wants to play short. He's athletic enough to do it. He has to improve. Everybody knows the defense has to improve for Bobby Witt at shortstop. He can play it, but does he do it consistently enough to stick at a premier position? So we'll see who's starting at the 6th spot on defense opening day. If it's number 27, or is it Bobby Witt?
Listen, wherever you set the combined home run and stolen base total for Adalberto Mondesi next year, mark me down for under right now.
I'm going to go ahead and take the under on that as well. And then something we've heard from J.J. Piccolo, we don't need to play the clip. I'll just paraphrase. Good. He was asked on MLB Network about not just the throwing strikes. He did say, well, it starts with the first pitch strike. For the 10th year in a row, they've said that, while finishing dead last the last 2 years in first pitch strike percentage. But he was asked about being more transactional trading, and he said, with the players we have this year and our youth, it's probably something we'll be looking at more next year. We hope to be in a position next year at this time to be looking at where we could be.
Spider-Man meme here with JJ and Dayton.
But no. Dayton, we're ready to compete this year. JJ?
Yeah.
Give us some time. We're not ready to compete this year.
I respect the
We're not
honesty.
going to get more transactional. This time next year, hopefully some things have happened, but I'm not going to sell you a bill of goods that we're ready to win the division this year. Program next.